I could be with anyone. You're here with me. You're here with me. You could be around for
You could be with anyone, and I could be with anyone. You're here with me. You're here with me.
Hey, what's going on, people? How's everybody doing? Hopefully, everybody's having a wonderful evening. We're moving into the My Take Speak Pipe edition, in which you guys called in, you left messages, and now I'm going to respond to your messages. Hopefully, everybody's having an awesome time. I see already we got some ones populating the chat. Thank you guys so much. Lizzie B leading us off with the ones, sparking the revolution, as it were. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate you. Let me just pop this out real quick. Had a little thing with my keyboard, spilled a little water on it, which is never a positive thing. It's kind of scary in a sense because I'm not sure if this bad boy gonna short out halfway through the episode tonight, but we gonna get it done. Like my buddy said when he working on his bike, we gonna get it done. Yeah, hopefully everybody had an awesome time. Yeah, keep in mind that HBO special. Thank you so much, Lizzie. I haven't said that in a while. Give you that HBO special, which stands for Help a Brother Out Special. Trying to grow the channel, get some more eyes on Tube, as well as on some, not only my sister wife content, but also some of my Motivational Monday stuff. I'm really going to try to step that up, just because I think that we're well, I think that the best thing you can do to remember people in a positive way is to take the lessons that you've learned from your experiences with them and try to shape them into something positive. So I want to take the experience that we had with Gabriel and his, or not Gabriel, Garrison and his time on the show, and try to turn it into something positive, like a net positive. So I think that I'm going to really start trying to push. I'm still going to talk my stuff. I'm going to keep it all the way a buck. I'm still going to talk my stuff. But I want to make sure that I'm balancing things out, and I'm going to be more of a steward of ensuring that I balance things out in a more positive way. So it's not just about me getting up here bashing and smashing and cooking the shit out of Cody and Robyn, even though I enjoy it. It's one of my pleasures. I do want to make sure that I'm giving something positive back, something that people can take out. That's actually why I started the channel. I didn't start the channel as a means and method to hate watch the two that shall not be named. And even though I said their name earlier, I'm going to try to refrain from just throwing them out because I genuinely meant what I said in my my last video when I was talking about Big G's and not really paying homage to the other two cast members, the dastardly duo, the unmentionables, the unflushables, if you will. I want to make sure that, like, I'm spending my time, especially during this time of loss, that I'm spending time not necessarily just hate watching or talking crap about the two of them, because they are a target rich environment, and a lot of the things that they do are so reprehensible in a lot of ways, and you can see that how those bad deeds, those bad thoughts, that mistreatment can lead to tragic events. It could be a stone or a building block towards that, leading towards that path of destruction, not necessarily the cause, but we could talk about correlation, and we could talk about it just being one more thing that's going on, one less resource that folks have when they're going through tough times. We could talk about it in that respect. But instead of me hyper focusing on them, I do want to give a lot of attention to the people who actually need it. See, because ultimately, people who are in their positions, they don't care if I'm talking trash about them. They don't care if I'm giving them criticism. They don't care if I could have like the camera of their life. Like I mean, I could go to heaven, talk to Gabriel, the guy at the gate, the keeper of the gate, not necessarily Gaby Brown, baby Gaby, but Big G's and baby Gaby, but the young man Gabriel. I can go get the book, right, of everything that you did, the book of deeds. I could whip that bad boy out. I could show them in tremendous detail everything they did wrong and the results of everything they did wrong, and they won't care. And ultimately, they'll feel rewarded because I'm talking about them. That's all they care about. They don't care that I have something negative to say about them. As long as I'm talking about them, that's the most important thing to them. If they would rather me talk about them than not say anything about them, not pay them any mind. They're the kind of people, if you really want to punish them, ignore them. Like, if you really want to hurt their feelings, don't cuss them out. You ignore them, because any attention is good attention to them. Good, negative, positive, negative, it doesn't matter. As long as you're talking about them, they would rather you be talking about them than not talking about them. They're the kind of people who would show up, and I said this before about Christine's wedding. They're the kind of people who would show up late for the wedding, then they bust in the doors, and walk down the middle of the aisle, right when they're about to do the I do, so all eyes will be on them. And then when they make a spectacle of themselves, like shuffling through, because they got to disrupt like all the people in the church or in the area, in the audience, so that everybody's like looking over their shoulder to see what they're doing. And oh my goodness, they're here. What's going to happen? Oh wow, this is going to be a problem. And then when they get to the reception and everybody's like, yo, why did you show up late? Or if you did show up late, why didn't you just stand in the back? Then it's going to be, why don't you stop hating on me and stuff? Why don't you just keep my name up out your mouth? I don't understand why you talking, what you saying, and all that crap. And then all of a sudden, instead of the focus being on the two people who got married for that day, the focus is now on these two Nimrods who showed up late as shit and made a big disturbance during the services. And they would find happiness in that disturbance. They'll find happiness in that disagreement, in that conflict. So therefore, because of that, I'm not going to say their names on the algorithm. I'm going to cut their names back. I might put them on the thumbnail maybe, so that folks know who I'm talking about or what I'm about to talk about. But when I get on the nitty and the gritty, I might have a little name for them. I might pop off a lot. Like, you guys might hear some more creative titles for or descriptions regarding these guys, because I'm going to stop feeding the algorithm for them. And it also comes down to, as we talk about, them getting their own show and that kind of thing, there's a real possibility that the fan base and the people who dislike them and their detractors could actually push them into their own spinoff, because TLC will figure they don't give a shit. Like, TLC, pardon my French, but they don't care. TLC genuinely does not care if you watch the show because you hate it or you watch the show because you love it. They don't care. As long as you're watching the show and you're talking about it. That's why I think that so much of like 90 Day Fiance, I still got to drop my video about that. It's so much of like even Poly Family. Part of the reason, or MILF Manor, and they have like these, I don't call them degenerates, but they have these like weirdo people on their network now. Like the MILF Manor first season, that was degenerative. For you to be trying to bang out kids, not only you trying to, sleep with kids your kids' age, but your sons are present while you trying to get your groove on. Like, you there trying to get your swerve on, trying to flirt with some kids who are the same age as your kids, and they're there with your kids and they're friends with your kids, and you're trying to invite them back up to your room, talking about, oh yeah, I'm trying to get it. Oh yeah, tell your friend to come over here and do this, that, and other. That's crazy to me. So when TLC does that kind of thing, they're trying to tap into our outrage. They're trying to tap into the negative aspects of how we see the world. And I think that they profit, like the two that shall not be named, are actually in the swings of that. Because if you look at them from like season 1 to where they are now, the things that comes out of their mouth at this point, now we've reached a point where it's not even about getting their actual or genuine reaction anymore. It's about how far can they go? What's the next crazy thing they're going to say on the screen that's going to blow everybody's mind? Because they've hit a point now of like zero return. Like you go so far out, like you can't go back. Okay. And they've hit that point. They passed that point by a mile. Like, it's been a while since they've been able to turn this ship around. But they're in that uncharted area or territory where Cody came, or when he who shall not be named, Senor Baldilocks, when he came out and he was like baloney Baldilocks. But when he came out and he said, I'm gonna be the devil that everybody think I am, and all that crap. That was him acknowledging his villain arc. That was him acknowledging the fact that I don't care. Because when push him down to shove, would you rather be liked and be homeless, or would you rather be disliked and live in a 2.1 million shit show chateau there with your loved one and your soulmate? And we're talking about a person who said their greatest fear is poverty. So yeah, he will say some wild stuff. He will do some crazy things. And at this point, I think that he's setting it up to where he doesn't care who he hurts or who's offended. And that is crazy as heck to me too. That's part of the reason why I'm giving them a little soft band, just on the fact that I'm not gonna really talk about them. I'm gonna talk crap about them. I'm not gonna promise that'd be crazy, but because I'm gonna talk crap about them. If they do something wild or they do something that I find reprehensible, I'm gonna say something. But I'm not gonna give them the credit for it. I'm not gonna give them the shine. So you might get you guys feel good on the fact that, if you're watching the show now, feel good on the fact that you may very well make my thumbnails, but I'm going to rarely, if ever, say your name again. You will not, your names will not pass my lips voluntarily. I might slip up like I just did and talk about you guys, but I'm not going to just sit up here and keep hollering your name out. That's just how it's going to roll for me. Because a lot of what I saw, and again, I'm really taking it easy this week because out of respect for Big G's and his actual loved ones and the people that I feel like he was close to. I'm taking it easy out of respect for them. Next week, though, is a different day. Next week is going to be something different because I do have some things I want to say. I do have some things, especially off of last week's episode, and I have a feeling that because it's not over. From what I saw, I did catch a slight preview, and from what I saw, last week was talking about the actual loss. This week coming up is actually them talking about the repass and like planning for the fallout of it all. They're actually going to get together as a family, meaning all the adults, the OG3 plus the dastardly duo, the defunctory dimwits, those two, they're coming to the meeting too. And there's going to be a conversation. So we might see some healing. We might see them get back together. I'm that's just kind of where I'm at now. And again, I'm not, if you guys, this is just for me. If you guys want to say their names, I don't mind. You want to come on the show and you say their names, that's completely up to you. I have that policy. Like I'm not that person where I'm going to limit speech and regulate speech in that way. If you guys want to talk about them, you're more than willing to talk. You're more than welcome to talk about them, say their names, whatever the case may be. But for me, I'm not gonna give them that. I'm just not, because I'm not really happy or appreciative of the way they approached the last week's episode. What I saw last week didn't make me smile. It didn't make me feel better. So that's kind of where I'm at. All right. But hey, Raspberry, what's going on? Lynn Skinner in the house. All right. Got some folks. So I'm trying to do a whole bunch of stuff. This is my first chance really getting to take a look. Yeah, but I do want to give a big shout out to Big Garrison, or not Garrison, Big G's, of course. Rest in power, brother. But I want to give a huge shout out to Gabriel. Gabe, it's crazy, insane finding your people like that. I remember story time. And then I'll get right into the messages because we got a few. But I remember there was one time when I got a phone call from, it was when my mom was still around, but I got a phone call from my mom, and she was saying that her sister, like they had been trying, like somebody had called my mom, like one of my aunt's uh neighbors called my mother and said that, you know, her back door was open and her trunk was up, right? And no, they hadn't seen any movement, so they called my mom to find out what was going on, if she knew what happened. So I jump in my car immediately, right? And I have, like I said, I've had a lot of, I've done a lot of different things in my lifetime, so I have a certain set of skills. I have I have a certain training. So I went to the house, right? I rode out to the house and I met my cousins there, her sons. And I was telling them when I arrived, I told them to stay outside, right? Because I didn't know what I was going to find in the house. And so when I went in, like the trunk was open, the door was open, I went into the house and I cleared the house, and I couldn't help but think part of the reason why I did that and why this is relevant to what I'm talking about here with Gabe is that she wasn't there. So no, take the drama or pressure off or tension off for that. She wasn't there. Okay. But part of the reason why I wanted to go in there first is because I understand that if something were to have happened to my aunt, it would be hard on me, but it would have been devastating on her kids. It would have crushed them, right? So I didn't want them going in, and I didn't want them to be exposed to that because I didn't want them to have in their source or bank of memories when they think about their loved one. I didn't want that to be one of the things they thought about when they thought about like their mom and they thought about the good times, bad times, whatever. You know, my aunt and my mom, boy, they was cut from a different cloth, Jack. They wasn't punks. You know, my aunt, she God bless her soul. She's still around. She's still around. But she's still here. She raised them boys pretty much by herself. She had 3 boys. She raised them by herself. Excellent young men. Excellent young men. Very impressive guys. Very impressive men. But she was not one to be playing around. So they would have had some great memories. They have some great stories. They have some great things to look back on and reflect on with respect to my aunt. And I didn't want that to be sullied by anybody doing something to her and them seeing it. And I say that because I understand how impactful it was that Gabriel going over to check on his brother found his brother, and how that will affect him for the rest of his life. And and we can't ignore the fact, and this is with any loss, really, we can't ignore the fact that Gabriel may very well be okay today. He might be fine today, and everything is hunky dory. But the thing that he experienced will leave a mark. It will cut so deep that you won't even know you're cut. It's so sharp and it goes so deep that you could walk around thinking that everything is fine and you have crazy damage. Like he's crazy. Like the damage that he suffered is immeasurable. So I would do everything if I could. I would do everything in my power, and I'm sure Janelle feels the same way, and people who know him feel the same way. I would do, and anybody who's out there, I'm sure you guys all feel the same way. I would do anything I could if I could to alleviate that from him, take that burden from him, and that's what I was thinking when I went to the house, my aunt's house. As it turned out, and here's the crazy thing: you never know. As it turns out, she had got a phone call, like somebody had came and picked her up. She went out. She just ran out of the house. And I guess you know how you put the trunk down and it doesn't latch. Her car didn't latch. And so the trunk came back up and she didn't close the door. That's all that happened. So Well, I was like, she ain't there. I don't know what the hell's going on. Nothing's disturbed. There was no sign of struggle. There was no sign of forced entry. Like she went shopping or whatever. She went to the supermarket. That's out while the trunk was open. Like the stuff is all put away. So I don't know what could have happened. And that's when we called her and found her. But yeah, it could be rough. So that's why I'm really focused on hey, Ivana, for Live for Love. Welcome. That's why I want to be more focused on the people who this actually impacted. Some folks, and and we'll get into it because a couple of the callers touched on it. Some folks, like I said earlier, about being willing to be viewed negatively or have people talk negatively about them as long as they're talking about them. Some folks will take tragedy and use that tragedy as a way to prop themselves up and make themselves more relevant. So something could happen to you, and there's one person, cry brows, definitely. I've seen her do it on the show. Something traumatic will happen to one of the OG3. Then Crybrows will sit there and start talking about how she was devastated and how she could imagine and how this thing, even though it had nothing to do with her, how it could affect her and how this is affecting me. And I can't believe it. I'm so sad. This thing is so powerful for somebody who uses any advantage that they could get, any leg up that they could have, emotional leg up that they could have. This is like the golden damn ticket. This type of loss, the loss of a child is the freaking golden ticket for somebody like that, because it gives them so many ways to play that card. It gives them access to so much sympathy, emotional outcry, empathy. We could talk about, guys, I'm telling you, next week is going to be off the hook because I got some things I got to say. Some things that some people might not even know. Okay. I'm just saying, like, it's just because some of the things that I saw and some of the things I came across that I will verify on that I will verify during the course of the video that I'm going to do. I am telling you is crazy. It's crazy. So keep an eye out for that. Let's see. Yeah, but we could get into the I've prattled on long enough. We'll get into the your messages because that's what this show is about. It's about your messages. And speaking of which, if you guys are interested in leaving a message for the show, the Thursday show, or you just want to reach out to me and say what you want to say to me, James, you suck, or whatever, that's fine. You can leave it at speakpipe.com/my take on reality. And that will give you the opportunity to leave a 90-second message, a minute and a half message where you can say what you want. And I'll respond to it based on what your opinions are, what your thoughts are. The great thing about it, guys, is this. I'm just trying to give everyone who wants to participate in the show an opportunity to participate in the show. Clearly, you can participate using the chat, right? That's awesome. We have a fantastic, strong, supportive community that was built by everybody who joined in and participates in it. Okay. We have a fantastic chat, very supportive, awesome. I think it's one of the best in the business, but that I'm a little biased. But we also have the call-in show on Sunday where you guys can call into the show and we can have a whole conversation. Then, of course, I wanted to do this as a means or method for people who might want to get on and talk, but they don't necessarily feel comfortable calling in, or maybe the time difference is such that you can't catch a live, which is a thing. So I wanted to give every opportunity for folks to be able to participate in the show however they feel comfortable or however they can. So we have that going. Betty Aldridge in the house. What's going on? We have some messages. Let's get to these messages, guys. Guys. Oh, wait, before I do that, we had A man, Alexandra PF. What's going on? Gifted 2 memberships. Uh, a member for 2 months. Okay, wow, that's different. Okay, the gruesome twosome. Yeah, right. The gruesome twosome. Oh, Negla 3. Welcome, welcome. New member became a new YouTube member. Negla 3 in the house. But yeah, thank you so much, Alexandra PF, and welcome, Negla. Let me give you guys a little something because you know that's what I like to do. A little acknowledgement. Let's give you guys something. Thank you so much, Alexandra. Definitely great support. Appreciate you. Here we go. Oh, we also had something from F Summers. We have a super sticker or super chat. No message, just the love. Appreciate you. Appreciate you. I'm gonna give you a little something too, because I should include you as well. All right. Yeah, but let's put, you know what, before we get started, let's put some hearts in the chat for Big G's and memories of Big G's. Okay. Who is this person? Come fight us. What are you talking about? The patients have escaped in our own panel. What are you talking about? All right, I see those hearts popping the chat. I should have put a sunshine or sunset or sunrise as an emoji. I got to do something for Big G's. I'm gonna put I got to create an emoji for him. But yeah, thank you guys so much. Appreciate that. I wanted to make sure we keep the spotlight where the spotlight belongs and where folks who need it deserve it get it. So we had starting out, I had 3 messages that were talking about very similar things, and I want to group some of those messages together. And oh yeah, part of what I was saying about Speakpipe, if you guys don't want to leave your message, we have a couple people who did it. If you don't want to leave your name, you don't have to. You can just put in anonymous, and that's fine. Like I don't necessarily want to out folks. I have a history where I was doing some things when I was working in corporate America where I needed to have a nom de guerre if I was doing anything. It wasn't online stuff, but it was I started doing stand up or whatever for a little bit. I was doing stand up. I'm still stand up, I guess. But when I was working in corporate America, it probably and I was the keeper of the keys. Like I kept a lot of the corporate secrets or whatever, keeper of the secrets. And I had a lot of access to a lot of different information. And I always kind of erred on the side of I don't necessarily think that there's a problem because I wouldn't get up and just start talking about what I did uh, and who I was working with. But the people who are in charge may not fancy the fact that a person who has so much information and organizational knowledge is out at a bar or a club and he's standing on stage with a microphone saying whatever he wanted to say coming through his mind and he's got a beer in his hand. So I started using the nom de guerre. So I'm completely respectful of the fact that some people don't want to have their names or whatever out on the internet for whatever reason, like whatever position they take as far as Sister Wives is concerned, they might not want it to impact their professional career. So I get it. So you're more than welcome to leave messages titled as anonymous. You don't give me any information, whatever, or just tell me from the rep, James, don't use this message. And then I will just basically transcribe the your voice message and read it onto air and respond to it that way. Okay. Like I said, it's just an opportunity for you to be able to get your voice out there or be heard or a position that you have so that we can add it to the lexicon into the conversation. All right. Fantastic. Oh, we had yeah, okay. Negla coming in. What did she have to say? Negla 3, $2 super chat. Robert never ever shed a real tear for Big G. Yeah, I know. She never did. Like, that was crazy to me. I was like, for everything that you cry about, really? You don't cry about that. Like, this would be a time where even if you couldn't cry, this would be the time where normally, like, if you ever gonna fake cry, this might be the time to try. This might be the one. Okay. But I do have a theory in that, and I will be sharing in a moment because somebody else brought that up during the chat. But thank you so much, Negla 3. Glad to see you back up in the house. Negla was one of our staples on our Sunday shows. But maybe she had to take a step back for whatever reason. It's cool. But I'm just happy you in the house tonight. How about that? Give you a Negla 3 a little something, something. All right. So we have the let's get to some of these messages. First message I thought was talking about Big G. So I wanted to give a little shine to that. Let me hit this bad boy up. Here we go.
Hi, James. Sharon here. Did you notice that the he that shall not be named never told how he found out about what happened? I just found that curious. Also, do you think, and I hope he did, but do you think that David was able to help some of the family with this event since he had experienced a similar event? Thanks, James. Just here for your take.
Big shout out to Sharon. Here's the thing. Like, just speaking about David first. David, for those who are unaware, when he talks about that he was a widower, and I don't want to get too deep into his business because they didn't really bring it up on the show. So I don't know how much, out of respect for him and his family and his kids, I don't want to get too deep in it. But I will say that when he talks about his wife had passed away, the way, not necessarily the method, but the way that she passed away, the cause of the COD, the cause of it all, was actually in the same vein as Big G. So I think that anyone who experiences things, that's why, like, as a group, I think that this particular chat is so powerful because we have people in the chat who've experienced this type of loss, this type of way, and they can share their experiences with folks. They can color in those lines. So I was thinking about it, and like when this all first happened, I had a strong reaction to folks who would come out and they would say things, particularly about parents and how they reacted, so on and so forth, like the moms or whatever, what they could have did, what they should have did, and all that. I had a very strong reaction to that, and part of the reaction that I had was based on the fact that this has touched my family. And so when I hear somebody who talks about it, who, I don't want to say clearly that never happened to them, but I just have the feeling that they've never experienced, or I'll say it this way, they never experienced this type of loss the way I experienced it. And so I wouldn't approach this as, shame on Janelle. She could have did more, or they could have, did this or that, or why did she run over there when he called? Because I understand how things go. I understand how things work. I understand how things transpire and they build. When this type of thing happens, Janelle let us in on a briefly. She gave us like a little glimpse as to the struggles that she was having in dealing with her child. Because at the end of the day, we can't lose sight of the fact that this is her kid. This is her child. This is a baby. Okay? She birthed this young person and they're not here anymore. And so when she talks about it, she's not talking about it in regard to, oh, well, he called me, he needed me. And I was like, I just got finished traveling from North Carolina. I'm tired. Don't want to come see you. Bye-bye. That's not what happened. If you're dealing with somebody who is struggling, there was a person who called it or gave a super chat last week. Tremendous super chat. Big shout out to Michelle Woods in the house. she had talked about how she had a friend who was going through some things and it was so bad and so terrible. And she got to the point of frustration where she felt like she was emotionally drawn. She was emotionally tired. She was whipped from being involved in helping her. So she had to step away. And there is a point where you're dealing with people and their issues and their problems where you have to do self-maintenance. You have to take care of yourself because you keep trying to be there every time they call and something is going on. You be there as much as you possibly can every time you can. But at some points, you might have to take a bit of a respite. You might have to take a bit of a break, and you might have to tag somebody else in. And when I heard what happened with Janelle and why she didn't go running out there, why she wasn't the one who found him, and why she sent her son out there to go check on his brother, in my mind, the way I see it as she's been out there how many other nights? How many times is he called or something was going on and she ran out there and she sat with him, held his hand, talked to him, whatever the case may be, invited him over to her house to try to calm him down to see what was going on. She's done that. She's put in the time. And the one time because this time he was determined and he made up his mind to do a thing. And she couldn't, there's no way she could have known that this was going to happen. And because she didn't know, because I guarantee you that if she had any idea or any information or even the slightest hint that this was a possibility, she would have been at his house her damn self. You can't tell me that she wouldn't. I think the OG3, I think Christine would have drove up from Utah. She'd have been on the first thing smoking from Utah had she had any inclination that this was what was going on. But they didn't know. And they've had close calls before. They had times he gave her certain guarantees. He said to her, I don't have anything here that can hurt me. I got rid of all my pew-pews. I don't have anything in the house that can hurt me. Well, what, you want to come over to the house? I mean, she just got back from, according to her, there was one point where people were like, oh, she wasn't in North Carolina. She was home. She had said during the course of last week's episode, I was in North Carolina. I traveled back to Utah. So you can be in North Carolina, travel back, and be tired from traveling. And despite the fact, based off of what she said, despite the fact that she was tired from traveling, she thought her son was in a little distress. She thought something was a little funky with him. She says to him, hey, why don't you come over to the house? He says, no, I'm good. Nothing's going on. I'm not doing this. I'm not doing that. And none of that is true. But this is what she's told her. She doesn't want to, maybe confront him or put him in a situation where she doesn't believe him, because that can be a trigger. When you're dealing with people who are in a fragile state of mind, you tell it like they're telling you and insisting that they're not doing something, and you basically call them a liar and say, no, you are doing it. Who you lying to? I'm smarter than you. I know what's going on. That can set them off too. And you don't know where you are with folks. And this is one of the things that kind of pushed me last when we first heard about it, when this all first occurred. And I think that having that actual lived experience makes a difference in how you talk to people and how you explain things to people. David has the ability, because this is something he went through. I think that he has the ability and the previous knowledge to where he could talk to the kids, he could talk to the family, he can counsel them, and he can comfort them, because he has that life experience. He can tell them, you're going to ask yourself, what could I do that would have been different, that would have made a difference, that could have changed the outcome. And the reality of it is, the very subtle reality of it is that this is the type of theft where the victim is also a co-conspirator. Okay? This is the type of theft where the person who is being harmed the most physically is complicit in that harm. So it's very difficult. One of the most twisted things I've ever heard when I was trying to help somebody out is they said to me, you can't protect me from myself. And that's 100% right. You can protect people, especially your kids. You can protect your kids from a lot of stuff, maybe from strangers, from maybe making bad decisions or whatever, hopefully making bad decisions and showing them they have options. But the one thing you can't protect them from is their own choices. And the things that they decide, they have it in their mind that this is what they're going to do, is very little you can do. And it also gets to a point where the only real possibility that Janelle had at that point was to have him committed, like a non-consensual, involuntary commitment, because she feels like he's going to either he's a danger to himself or he's a danger to others. And that type of action would have a certain stigma to it, and it's very impactful. This isn't something you just do to somebody because it is what it is. Because if he's found to be a hazard or a danger to himself or to others, then he'll get committed, and that will impact his life. That will impact his ability to be in the service. That could impact the rest of his life. So that's a choice that she's faced with. And then some people will say, yeah, but you could have saved his life. Yeah, but what if you're wrong? What if you're wrong? What if you pull that trigger and he gets to the hospital and the doctor say there's nothing wrong with him? He wasn't planning on doing nothing. We talked to him, and as best as we could tell, he's either such a good he's either shaped the truth in such a way or shaped his story in such a way we can't prove it either way. We have no reason to hold him, or we genuinely believe him. Either way, on that end of the spectrum, you've lost contact with him because he no longer trusts you. Your phone calls might not get answered. So in that situation, you might not be there to help him. There's a lot of things that, this isn't even though this is a TV show and it's a TV, our interaction with it is based off a reality TV show. In life, there are so many different variables when you're considering this. There's no one quick answer. So I think that David, with his experience, he can give a lot of that advice, a lot of that context to the family that very well may help them as they move through this very difficult time. Now, with regard to Cody and how he Curly Q and how he found out, I think that is a very good point. It was blatantly missing because that's the one story he didn't tell. He told some other stories that I thought were very and I'm trying to be kind. He told some stories that I thought were put together in a way for him to talk about this situation in a way that he feels most comfortable. So you guys almost got me. I almost went in. I'm trying to hold it off till next week, keep my powder dry. I almost went in. But yeah, I want to say it that this week, I'm going to say it that way. I think that he's told the story that he felt most comfortable with. And he let us in as far as he felt comfortable. Next week, though, it's going to be something different. Okay, not different. It's just going to be a little more. It's going to be a little more detailed. My opinion is going to be a lot more detailed. All right, but thank you so much for calling and sharing. That's an awesome call. Thank you. Next up, I want to do the 3 calls back to back, and then I'm going to respond at the end because they kind of touch on the same point, and I want to give everybody an opportunity to have their voices heard. And I want to just make sure I streamline a little bit because it does talk about it overlaps a little bit, the subject matter. But first up, we have Jelly Beans. All right, Jelly Beans 2023. Want to hear what she has to say? Or they?
Hey, James. Love your show. Love when you are always posting. I just want to leave one comment that I really hope you touch upon. When Robyn and Cody were having a conversation at dinner and he was talking about Aspen, he was talking about how his, daughter felt like she didn't love him. And Robyn instantly corrected him and said, "Oh, so that's a confrontation." It was not a confrontation. It was a conversation. She instantly turned Aspen against Cody in that sentence and was trying to encourage him to see it that way. I would love to get your take on that. And I would love to hear you and other followers, say something about it. All right. Thanks for giving me the opportunity to leave a message. Take care.
All right. That's an excellent call. We're gonna talk about it. We're gonna talk about it. Next up, we got Becky.
Hi, James. It's Becky. I just wanted to say that I was glad that Cody went to see his kids without Robyn. I feel like she just manipulates and causes trouble anytime she's around. And it's like it's Cody's automatic knee jerk reflex to defend Robyn anytime he or she feels like she's being attacked. She has been a wedge in every one of his relationships, and he's either too stupid or too blind to see it. I'm not sure which. But I want to see his relationship with his kids healed, and not for his sake, but for his kids' sake. They're hurting, and they want their dad to be their dad again. But as long as Robyn Brown is anywhere near them, she causes trouble. Even when he was telling that story about his good visit with his kids, she had to correct him and tell him that it wasn't a conversation. It was a confrontation. He needs to go visit his kids and leave Robyn at home because she's the one who's unsafe. And I think it would be nice if sometimes when he would go to visit, he would take the younger kids so that they could see their siblings. I think that Robyn is the entire problem and she needs to be left at home. I'd like your thoughts on that, James. Thank you.
All right, that was Becky. Becky. Becky makes some excellent points too, and I want to address all that at the right after this next person. We have H Jazzy. They're going to conclude the this portion of it because they brought it up, and I'm I'm not one to be shy about a conversation. Okay, I said I wasn't going to talk about it, but if you invite me in, boy, I just watched Center. So if you crack the door and you invite me in, I'm coming in. All right. So we'll be talking about it in a second, but H Jazzy.
Hi, I would like to know your opinion on when Cody was talking about seeing the children and Robyn said that it sounded confrontational. Do you think she's going to get mad if he starts having a full relationship with his children again?
All right. That was so essentially what and I appreciate you guys, and I apologize if you feel slighted that I'm putting you guys all together, but you all touched on the same point, and I didn't want to drag it out. So Jelly Beans, 2023, Becky, and H Jazzy, they all talked about the instance where Cody and Kate or Baldy Bojangles, they talked about how he came in and he was talking about how he went and he met with Aspen. And during the course of the conversation with Aspen had said to him, like, how come you don't like me? Why don't you like me? And for me, I think that as a parent, or shoot, I think as a person, you can understand why that would be crazy damaging. Why that, like, even though your child's feelings are hurt, it would hurt my feeling if one of my kids came to me and said, why don't you like me? Right? Especially if I actually liked them. Like, if I didn't like you, I'd be like, well, you're very perceptive. Like, but if you really liked your kids and you thought you were doing everything for your children, and then all of a sudden they turn around and say, I don't understand why you don't like me, that would hurt my feelings. Like, that would hurt me to the core. Because what have I done to make you think I don't like you? Okay? It reminds me of that the one play. Why don't you like me? Who the hell said I gotta like you, Fences? But that would be a crazy, painful thing. And Robyn or Wig Hat, I'm gonna call it Wig Hat for right now. Wig Hat, because you're always playing with a hair. Full head of hair. Wig Hat and Baldy Locks. The Dastardly duo, the wife half of the Dastardly duo, she turned around and that wasn't a conversation, that was a confrontation. Oh, that was very clever on the alliteration where I saw what you did there, but that's not accurate, is it? That's not accurate. And that one, it reveals something about how you approach information. If somebody gives you something that you don't like, is that automatically a confrontation, or are they merely expressing their point of view? See, not everybody in the world is going to have the same perspective or point of view. That's part of the reason why in my chat, I insist that you be able to come in and say what you want to say, how you want to say it with respect, like you respect each other. And we debate issues, not people or personalities. But if you have a different perspective or a different insight or a different view of circumstances or situations, I'm open to hear that conversation, even if it disagrees with a position I've taken. I'm not insulted because people disagree with me, because I recognize that I don't know everything. Plato, like just the fact that you recognize that the wise man understands that he doesn't know everything. The fool thinks that he knows everything, whereas the wise man recognizes that he doesn't know everything and he's willing to learn. I'm trying to learn, and the best way for me to learn is to get other people's perspective and opinions. They may see things differently than I do. I know 99% of the world, 90% of the world sees things differently than me. Just because of the way I was brought up, the things I went through, and so much. Everybody has that thing where everybody has a different life experience, and what they bring or what they got out of that life experience adds to their perspective or point of view. It is what it is. I have some views that probably aren't popular. People have views that aren't popular. It is what it is. We can all get in a room and talk as long as we respect one another. And if Aspen was in a situation where she went to Captain Crow's feet and she said, Dad, I feel like I'm not welcome, or I don't feel that welcoming feeling with you. I don't feel connected to you. Then the it's not a confrontation, it's an opportunity for him to be able to have a conversation with his child who is coming to them, laying themselves bare and saying, this is my issue with you. Please, let's work on resolving it. Because that's what I got the feeling, even in his description, as he was telling Wig Hat about the situation. That's the feeling I got. Even he was acknowledging that Aspen was trying to open up the flow of conversation. Now, with regard to how Senorita Solstice responded to things, Crowbrows responded to things, I do think that she finds solace in the fact that there's disagreement. I do think she finds respite in the fact that they don't get along with Captain Crowfoot. Right? I think that they find Lord Fauntleroy is Negro 3 called. I do think that is a thing where Arbrows says that she doesn't want him to have a relationship with anybody. She doesn't want him to have a relationship with anybody outside of the immediate family. She wants him dealing with her kids, her family, her problems, her issues, but she doesn't want to share. Right? And because I get the distinct feeling that's the case, regardless or despite the things that she said, I didn't want our whole family to be able to get together. I don't want it to be about me. I want him to have a relationship with his kids. Then why did you say it was a confrontation? You're trying to make him a victim, especially when you have people, and this is one of the things I can't stand. When you have people who sit around and talk about victimhood, and you just want to play the victim, and you being a victim, and why you being a victim, and you're trying to make yourself a victim because you don't like what happened, and you don't like something I did, so you try to be the victim, and I'm not going to let you be the victim because I hate victims. But then they spend 99% of their time, anytime there's a disagreement, making themselves the damn victim. Everything that's said that you disagree with or you don't like is somebody attacking you, and now you're the victim. Come on. You're not the victim in this situation. Aspen was giving her perspective. She was telling you how she felt. It doesn't matter whether it's true or not. This is how she felt and how she feels. And if she feels that way, that should bother you. Whether you feel it's justified or not, whether you think it's fair or not, it should bother you that your daughter came to you and said, Dad, this bothers me because I don't feel like I'm connected to you. I feel like not only do I not feel like I'm connected to you, I feel like I'm disjointed from you. But Dad, I feel like you don't like me. That should bother you. And you should do what you need to do from that point, armed with that knowledge, because of the magic word communication. Because she communicated with you and told you what she was going through, told you what she was feeling. That gave you the opportunity to be able to heal that relationship. You should be thankful for that opportunity. But there's also a point where I think Robyn is trying to keep everybody separate and everybody separated. She's subtly trying to stoke the flames and fires of destruction, which destroyed his relationship with his other family members. And we got firsthand knowledge and firsthand the first seat in a row watching her do that, because I think that's what that was. Yeah, I got some more stuff I want to say about it, but I'm gonna keep my powder dry because I might devolve into cussing. But yeah, that's just what, like, I think that's you know. And as far as like you going out, I will touch on one more thing. When if you have such a problem and you were genuinely a person who wants to see him with his kids, because you guys stood out in the snowbank with the little square cutout for your framing so you can shoot the scene. I know what it is, because that was your limits, because they set the cameras up in a way where you guys could stand there, and that was your mark of how far you could move within that. As long as you were in that box, you could do whatever you want and you'll still be in frame. But if you stepped outside that box, you wouldn't be in frame anymore. It's also a physical barrier. But okay, you guys stood in the snow and had the whole conversation about kid crap pants. I want you to be able to go and have conversation with your kids. I want you to be able to talk to your kids, because that's the most important thing, because I couldn't do it when my father and my dad wasn't there for me, and I want you to be there for your kids. That whole stuff, fake crying. And fake cried then, didn't she? But you had that. But if you were that concerned about it, then what your response should have been was like it was mentioned earlier during the messages. If you were genuinely worried about that, you should advise him to take his ass out there without you. I don't want to go anywhere without my beloved. I can't go. If they can't accept her, they can't accept me. If they don't want a relationship with her, they can't have a relationship with me. Here's the secret, bro. If you have to go out, you put on your big boy pants, you tighten up your little shoes, your little tiny shoes, you put the bow in it, then you go out, you meet with your children, you have conversations, you build that relationship, and then once you steady that relationship, you strengthen that relationship, then you could bring a plus one. Then you can bring an old girl in. But you can't do that if you don't have a relationship yourself. You can't do it. It won't work. Then it won't work. So you got to have a relationship yourself, because you are the primary. She's the secondary. If it wasn't for you, they probably wouldn't even talk to her. But you want everybody to be in love with her. You want everybody to care about her the way you care about her. That's not their job. The same way, here's an easy way for him to understand this. The same way, as much as Maddie and Caleb, as much as old Dusty Shoes likes Caleb, Maddie's husband, right? As much as Curly Q likes Maddie's husband, if they were to get divorced and they weren't talking and say it erupted and things fell apart or whatever, there's a strong possibility that Curly Q wouldn't be calling up Maddie's husband. Hey, yeah, bump her. She's ridiculous, right? Why don't you come on out? We'll go fishing. We'll go hunting together, whatever. No, you're going to call your daughter and be like, all right, bump that dude. The hell with him, right? Respectfully, he is the father of your children. All right? But that you have a tie, because your relationship with Maddie is your primary relationship. The relationship you have with Caleb, even though it's close, it's a close-knit relationship, it's a secondary or tertiary relationship. So, I mean, what are we doing? So if you have to meet with your kids by yourself so that you can heal that relationship because they feel like they're neglected, you don't bring the person who they feel like you're neglecting them for. I mean, somebody who's supposed to be so smart, well, I don't understand why they're acting so dumb. Like, that's just basic. And I also agree with the fact that if you want your youngest kids to know their older siblings, it's on you to start taking your kids around. This is one of them weird situations where it's almost like a separation, divorce, or when parents break up and they have to co-parent, and the non-custodial parent basically tries to put the responsibility of the children knowing the non-custodial parent's family, parents, cousins, whatever, on the custodial parent. It would be nice if they could call your mom up and say, hey, Miss So-and-so, I'm going to bring the kids around because they want to see their Meemaw, grand, G-Ma, or whatever the hell, right? They want to do that. But it's not really their responsibility. It's your responsibility. If me and my wife were to break up, my mom or my dad is still here. If me and my wife broke up, it's my responsibility to make sure that my kids have a relationship with my dad, have a relationship with my cousins, my aunt, their family on my side. That shit's on me. That's on me. It's that I'm not gonna call them up. Yeah, you need to take them over to my dad's house. Unless they have that type of relationship. Robyn and those kids don't have that kind of relationship. If you want your kids, Cody wants his, or Curly Q, Cowboy Curly Q, wants his kids, his youngest kids, Sol and Ari, to have a relationship with his other kids, OG 12 now, which even sounds weird saying. But if you wanted them to have a relationship with them, then you need to take it upon yourself to make that happen, facilitate that yourself. Instead of relying on the wives and the mothers, you need to take that on yourself. Otherwise, don't complain that they don't have a relationship. That's my two. Next up, we got deep in the power structure. We have Brittany, not Brittany, coming through. One of the Mega Minds left a message. Let's see what she has to say.
Okay, so I've been seeing a lot of commentary, criticism, jokes, whatever, about Cody and the esophagus lung sort of metaphor that he made in this week's episode. And I'm gonna play Robyn and speak Cody here. The way that I interpreted that what he was saying sounded a lot like an anxiety attack. I say that as someone who deals with, I'm medicated, so not to the same extreme as I used to, but, deals with severe anxiety. And that feeling where you're so overwhelmed and it feels like your throat is closing and all of the wind has gone out of your lungs, that is, as he was describing it, that is what it reminded me of. It reminded me of moments when I would be having a panic attack and I just couldn't pull any breath in. And I know we all like to give Cody a lot of grief, but I think in this case that may be misplaced, potentially.
Right. And here's the thing. And this is part of the reason why I love the group. I love my group. I love my chat box. Because of the different perspectives. And this is what I was talking about earlier. Because when people have experiences, they see things differently. Brittany has the ability to see something that I never would have considered. Because I don't think I've ever had a panic attack. Not that I recall. Maybe I did. I don't know. But not that I recall. And I certainly, because I don't recall the experience, if I can't remember having experience, I certainly don't remember what it was like. So it wouldn't be in my lexicon to remember or think about what it would be like or what he could possibly be talking about. And it makes it's very rational. And I would even go as far as to say, much like what I just said, as far as I don't know if I ever had one. I don't remember having one. Here's the thing. You could be having one and not know you're having one. And, He could very well have had a panic attack and didn't realize that this is what it is. He doesn't know what to call it. He doesn't know what to label it as. He doesn't know how to categorize it. But somebody who has that experience may listen to that and be like, oh, that's exactly what you were going through. Bro, you were having a panic attack. And I think that, Brittany, thank you for sharing first and foremost. And thank you for giving us that insight and that information, because like I said, that's something that I wouldn't have considered. So he very well could have been describing having a panic attack. And I understand the inclination is that, I don't know if I said his name or not, but I don't know if the inclination is to not give him a whole lot of grace in a lot of ways. But, long, short, regardless of how he treated or mistreated these young folks and these wives, at the end of the day, people are complex, and he may have experienced something horrible in his reaction towards this news that was even unpredictable or unforeseen by him. Because, everybody's had that argument. I know I've had those arguments where you're like, I don't give a damn. I don't give a F. Well, bump them. I don't care. I don't care. And then if something were to ever happen to that person, that wouldn't be your response. Like, you wouldn't come out good. Maybe, I don't know, maybe you would, depending on who it was or what they did. But, some things, like, you might be angry, terribly angry with somebody today, but you're angry with them in this particular vein. But then when something happens, whatever you were mad with them about seems so small, and it seems almost inconsequential. And if something terrible happens to them, then you look at it and say, oh my goodness, I can't believe I wasted all this time and lost these opportunities. I'm no longer going to have this chance. That could be one thing. Another thing could be you realize that you're going to look like a jackass because you didn't have a relationship with them. And because you didn't have that type of relationship with them, something happened to them. Now you could be blamed. And so you want to clean up your image. That's also a possibility. So you might have a panic attack based on that because you recognize that you can't make yourself look better. You're going to look bad. And there's nothing you can do about it. And it's that sense of helplessness which could trigger that because you don't feel like you're in control. And that could trigger a panic attack. So I'm not saying either one is true. I'm just saying that these are the possibilities. But thank you so much, Brittany. That was a very insightful phone call. And we have some more messages from Brittany. But we'll get to some other folks right now. Oh, we have let me just check this real quick. We have a couple things. Raspberry, $10 super chat. Thank you for your encouraging words, James. Thank you so much. Thank you, Raspberry. Tamron Hall used to host an investigative program. Yes, on ID. Her sister was a victim of a crime. Yes. As per Tamron's online wiki, positivity to those on the other side. Wow. Thank you so much. That's awesome. Let me give you a little something. Yeah. Tamron's deep. And I think that even now with everything that happened, because of what happened, she might even be a really good host because of everything that happened, because she understands the sensitivity of that type of loss. Like hers was something happened to her. So it's not same, but she understands that type of loss with somebody who's that close to her, especially a sibling, and especially when you talk about with regard to the young folks. So, another vote for Tamron Hall hosting a tell-all. That's what I see. That's my takeaway. But yeah, positivity to those on the other side. Thank you so much for that. Let's give you a little something. Then we had Lizzie B in the house, gifted one My Take on Reality membership. Thank you so much, Lizzie B, for all your support. One of our mega mods coming through. Let's give Lizzie a little something. Yeah, Tamron Hall is true. But yeah, thank you so much, Lizzie. And again, guys, take advantage of the motivational Mondays this week. Just in fairness, this week I released the motivational Monday video across the board, so anybody can watch it. Where I talk about or address like the struggles of depression, understanding the struggles of depression, because it's a lot of times the way depression is looked at is because it's not a physical manifestation. It can have physical manifestations clearly, but because it's not something like a broken leg or a sprained ankle or something that's physical that happens, you go to the doctor, they treat it, and then you're on your way to get better, right? It's something that's invisible, you can't see, and it's not quantifiable. Like, you can't say, okay, well, you're diminished by this much and you have this much until you're well again, and so we're going to work to get you well. It's something that you can struggle with during a short time, or something you can struggle with over the course of a lifetime. And it's just understanding what's going on and us being aware that this is what people are going through. So when people say that they're struggling with stuff, it's, there are points where you can say, all right, come on now, let's get positive, let's get focused. But there are opportunities where folks will be going through things, and it's not necessarily something, it's not an attitude. It's not something where you can say, come on, snap out of it, put a smile on your face, let's get to it. It's literally their body is betraying them. Their brain is betraying them. And it's putting them in that circumstance. So I released a video talking about it. It's not a long video. But I thought it was decent, but it's up to you guys to decide ultimately. But if you guys like it, you watch it, you like it, share it. Just because we got to try to get more information out. And I would really love it if other folks would talk about it as well. I'm, Pop Psych and all those guys who are, who stand on their credentials as part of their YouTube. I can't tell them what to do as far as the YouTube channel. It's their business, but I would love to hear their perspective on it, just because I think it's something that needs to be talked about and awareness needs to be brought about it. Brought up about it, so that way folks are aware what's going on. That way we're not, one, it gives us the opportunity to understand that this isn't something that's a one night quick fix thing. Just because you sit down and have a conversation with somebody, I don't understand why you're not better. I mean, I sat with you, drank some libations over the course of an hour or two, and we talked and cried and laughed and joked, and you seemed okay. Now you're back in the same situation. What's going on? I can't continue to waste my time. Like, it's an ongoing process. So we have to be aware of that process, and that helps us when we're helping people who are struggling, especially our loved ones and people around us, and then being able to see that struggle. Sometimes, kind of what I was saying earlier about with regard to Brittany, not Brittany, what she was saying as far as this possibly being like what he who shall not be named, because he's the king of shame. What they had referred to as this experience they had, and Brittany, to her credit, looked at it and said, "Hey, this very well could be a panic attack." Sometimes people are depressed and they don't know that they're clinically depressed. They don't know what's wrong with them, and that's something that we should talk about and something that we have to address. You could be going through something because, like I said, if you broke your finger, you snapped your finger, you held your finger up, and that bad boy was going this way, your finger had a sharp right angle on it, you know what's wrong. But when you suffer with depression, you might not know what's wrong. You just know you don't feel right. And sometimes it takes somebody on the outside, somebody who's a little separated or not necessarily as close, to say, hey, you might have depression. You might be depressed. And we have to take away a lot of the stigma. How is it called? The stigmata, or part of the stigma of being, having that need. It's not, I would no more blame somebody for suffering with depression than I would blame somebody for having appendicitis, or somebody having, high blood pressure, sugar, diabetes, or especially type 1 diabetes, where you're predisposed to having it. Like we just have to be better about it. But that's just my take. So thank you so much for the My Take membership. Again, you're more than welcome. A lot of those videos that I have, just so you guys know, I don't know if I ever said this out loud, but if you go under the playlist, the membership playlist, that's where I put a lot of the motivational videos, and all those videos are open to the public. Okay. The only time that they're exclusive is when I first release them on Monday as a perk to the membership. All right. But sometimes, like, I just want to make sure everybody has access to it. We got something interesting. Oh, shoot. Neglet 3, $2 super chat. Remember, everyone's process and experience is different. That's 100%. 100%. Everybody has a different perspective or experience. Some people, they go through some things, like some people go through stuff. It'd be the worst, most terrible thing you could possibly imagine. They shake that shit off. Like they just, and they keep it pushing. Other people, more sensitive souls, people who are more aware, people who are more tied in, they experience things different, and they experience the full rainbow of their life and their situations and circumstances. They may struggle, and we have to be aware of that. But thank you so much, Negla. Kilo. All right, and then next up, thank you so much, Negla. Next up, we have Sarah M. All right.
Hi, James. Hi, fam. So it's Sarah M here, and I actually was raised in the Mormon church, but my father was fundamentalist Mormon, and I left the church and my family 20 years ago, and I just recently started talking to my family again. And something that I kind of forgot, but in all of this and all of us rehashing this, I've remembered that this is basically a death cult, and that the main tenet of the fundamentalist Mormon church is that Jesus is about to come back. And so you don't have to worry about the future, and you don't have to worry about your debt, and you don't have to worry about getting your kids' health insurance, and you don't have to worry about going to college. And this is something that was like very confusing to me growing up. But I do remember, like, my parents made me go babysit, and they took all the money, and I've talked about this before, and the girls probably remember, but I think I'm remembering all of that, and I think that maybe is why they're so weird about getting their kids' health insurance, and maybe why they're so weird about Big G's passing, and why they don't address it like most of the rest of us would. I think that they still think that Jesus is just about to come back just around the corner, because my family still tells me that. Like, now that I'm talking to them again, anytime I tell them about my life, they tell me Jesus is about to come back, so I don't have to worry about anything. And it's not true.
Thank you for sharing that. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, you know what? One of the craziest things about it, when you said that you broke away from the church and you start to see things when you step outside the circle. There's a paradoxical relationship in the sense that they tell you, don't worry about money, don't worry about bills, don't worry about these earthly things, because we're going to be wrapped in the rapture. We're going to be taken back to heaven. It's going to be amazing, because when he gets here, when he rings the bell, when he makes his holy presence known, we are going to rise up, and it's going to be amazing. And they say that so you shouldn't have to worry about, like, going to school, getting an education, going to work, paying bills, paying debts, that kind of thing, because it's all going to be okay. But then somehow, some way, it always turns into, when you go to work or you have some kind of financial advantage, like we watched on our Sister Wives most recently, you all of a sudden get a financial advantage. All of a sudden, these same people who are only worried about the afterlife and not worried about the material world, all of a sudden they want all your money. Isn't that crazy? Like, all of a sudden, you out there working at, you working a babysitting job. Like, clearly, last time I checked, you don't have a 401k and babysitting jobs. You don't have stock options, right? So you work in this job and you get paid by the hour, usually for a family friend or a neighbor or something. You work this job, you watch these kids, you changing butts, you putting kids to sleep. You might be dealing with temper tantrums and everything else that comes along with it. In some cases, you might even be helping them with their homework or whatever the case may be. Little Johnny's on punishment, and you have to enforce the punishment because you're the babysitter. And mom and dad want to go get their freak on. They hitting the comedy club and they getting a freaky leak at the club afterwards, or they hitting the Motel 6, right? For some downtime. And you're dealing with that. You get paid. And then you come home, and the same people who are sitting there talking about the afterlife are worried about life today. And they want you to break them off. What? I thought we was waiting for the rapture to pick up the tab. What happened? So that's crazy to me. But that does make sense. That does make sense. And the phrasing is a little strong, calling it a death cult, but I mean, it's probably accurate. I can't really on the spot. I can't really disagree with the accuracy with regard to the term, but using your term, calling it a death cult, yes, a lot of it is focused on the benefits of the afterlife. They don't do the whole and there's a weird part of it too, because even when Curly Q Cowboy talked about it, Lord Fauntleroy, as Negatory calls him, the way they approach it, way he approaches it, it's a combination of the afterlife and prosperity preaching, right? Because I'm more familiar with the prosperity preaching. It's told basically, if you're living a good life, then you will be blessed with material things here on earth, right? So when he talks about the only thing scares me is poverty, because if I'm living in poverty, that means I'm living in sin, and that means that I'm being punished because I'm not living right. And so going in along those same lines, if he gets to show and he's doing well financially, and everything he does is only reinforcing the idea, if you have that mindset, it's only reinforcing the idea that everything you do is right because you're being blessed financially. So when we say, won't he ever recognize how he's treating the OG3 and the OG13? No, because he's being blessed. He's living the blessed life. Why are you trying to leave me when I'm doing such a good job? And I know I'm doing a good job because I'm being blessed. I went from living in a house with 3 wives and, I think at that time it was 12 kids, to all of a sudden I'm a property owner. I don't just have a house. I'm just not a homeowner. I'm a property owner. I have my name on several pieces of real estate. And this real estate is well over $1 million in value. So I'm doing well. And the reason I'm doing well is because I'm being blessed. I'm blessed, right? So, I mean, I think that plays a part into it too. It could very well play a part into it. I think that it's also interesting. Like I said, it's always interesting to me that when you talk about this being a death cult and them being focused on the afterlife, this also gets into the whole idea of Janelle and her hesitance to get the separation from Cody in the church, right? To have that relationship broke up, because if you believe in the faith, if you believe in the religion, in the afterlife, by her breaking away from Cody or severing that tie, or I said his name twice. By her severing her ties to Lord Fauntleroy, what she's actually doing is she's also severing her ties. She's all but guaranteeing that she won't see her kids in the afterlife. Because that's also part of it too. So it's not just the fact that she's doing it to herself, but she would also be doing it to her kids. I can see that being part of the hesitance. And that's one of the reinforcement tactics that we talk about: social pressures. We talk about religious pressures or theocratic pressures that these ladies will be going through. That's part of it, because you're not only talking about the financial end or the societal end, the community end. You're talking about in the afterlife. You can also punish your kids, get your kids punished based on your behavior here on earth and how you treat your husband. If you get separated from your husband, then you're also dooming and damning your kids in the afterworld. and you won't see them forever and ever and ever because you've destroyed your relationship here. So that also reinforces his importance and elevates him as the priesthood holder within that family. So I think that's an interesting take. Thank you so much, Sarah M. Sarah left another message. I'm not sure if this ties directly into it. I can't remember, but let's take a listen to it. This is Sarah M.
Hey, James and fam, it's Sarah M again. There is a principle called milk before meat, and that's a Mormon thing, and also a FLDS fundamentalist Mormon thing, and that means that you don't tell people everything about the principles. You just give them milk like they're a baby, and then once they're older, you can give them the meat, which is normal people food. And an example of milk before meat is you don't tell everyone that you are still sealed to the same man until you go and have sex with another man. That is something that you only tell the adults in the church. That's not something you tell everybody, including the innocent people, like, let's say, a Mary or a Janelle or a Christine. That is something that you tell an adult, quote unquote, like Robyn. And that may be why Cody thought it was, he could tell Robyn about his previous sexual history, because he thinks that she is an adult and he can tell her those things.
And so by implication, you're saying that he infantilized the other three wives. Wow. Powerful. Again, Sarah M., huge shout out to you. This is part of what I was talking about even earlier, just moments ago when I was talking about Brittany, not Brittany, that providing different perspective in life experience. That's something I had not heard before, milk before meat. It does make sense, though. And even in respect to, making sure that you don't publicly have these types of physical relationships. Oh, Christine's like when Crybrow Eyebrow, the King of Hats, said that it was important that she recognized she's not officially separated from the family until she goes out and sleeps with somebody else and has relations with someone else. That's what Crybrows was saying about Christine. And I just missed it because even Christine was like, I never heard of that. But it does make sense because technically, if you're still mixed into the church, then like I had said, we're talking about the afterworld. So if they still believe in that form of practices, they might not be a part of the church because they don't believe in the authority over top of them, but they believe in the principles and the guidance and teachings of the church, and they still hold those principles. Then Christine leaving and taking her kids with her is not just her doing it in the physical worldly form, but she's also depriving him of his children in the afterworld. And for my understanding, for them in their faith, the afterworld is not only based on the number of wives they have, the quality of how they lived, like you in more traditional Christianity, like the quality of the afterworld is like pretty much for everybody. Like heaven is heaven, right? But in this particular faith, it's my understanding. And again, correct me if I got it wrong, but it's my understanding that there's different levels to their heaven, right? There's some heavens that are better than other heavens, and Cody don't want to be in poverty in life because that's his. I said his name. Damn it, because that's his greatest fear. But I'm pretty sure Baldy Locks don't want to be in the ghetto heaven either. Okay, he ain't trying to go to ghetto heaven. I suffered on earth. I ain't trying to go to ghetto ass heaven. I mean, guys have they might have property. They might have acre of a front yard, but there's nothing but broke down cars and engines sitting on that bad boy. So no, he ain't trying to go to that heaven. And the way that you get to the better heaven is the number of wives that you have, because that puts you into the next realm. And it's my understanding, again, correct me if I'm wrong, I might have the AUB misread or the information wrong, but it's my understanding that one, if you have 3 wives, that knocks you into the next heaven. But it's my understanding further, it goes from 3 to 7, I think. So if you have 7 wives, that takes you up to the next level of heaven. And then the number of kids you have control is the number of planets or whatever that you control, right? Or realms that you control and are God over. So he may not want to have a relationship with Christine or her kids here on earth, or Janelle and their kids on earth, or even Mary and her child here on earth. But he needs them when he gets to the next world, because that's his cash out for him to get into better heaven. Like, that's his ticket into better heaven. So no, even if Christine, like you, I don't mind if Mary, he said at one point, I don't mind if Mary, takes another person and she sees somebody else, she could bring them back and integrate them into the family. He even said that about Christine. Like, you could bring him back and he could join the family. He could be part of the family, because I don't want to have my heaven diminished. Because I thought it was crazy when he said it, like, you could bring them back. And then I thought about it in that respect. And you don't want to shrink your heaven. So you're willing to deal with the embarrassment and humiliation of having your ex-wife and her new husband or boyfriend living next door, as long as they don't break your get the separation from you. I forget what it's called. It's not a separation, but it's when you go and get the release. You don't want to get the release from the ladies here. So as long as they're tied to you, then when you get to heaven, you get the big heaven. You get the big, the big massive mansion heaven. And so but yeah, that's the whole thing. But yeah, I think but thank you so much, Sarah. You brought in some different perspective. Milk before the meat. Well, I wrote that down. Because it does put things into perspective. Kind of clears some stuff up. Thank you so much for that. Next up, we have Andrea.
Hi, James. My name is Andrea. I love your channel. One thing that I noticed about Mary is she did let the relationship with Cody and Robyn and the family go on way too long. She should have gotten out of there much earlier than she did. But Mary is also the only one who got the release from the church. I think Mary was also hanging on for religious purposes, because in her head, this is it. This is forever, and I'm bound to this man. She was taken advantage of. She was used. Robyn chewed her up and spit her out, and so did Cody. But I also believe that she stayed in there longer than the others because she is the most religious of the OG3. Thank you.
Yes. I mean, I think that would be that would make the most sense. And again, like, one of the craziest things, and if you really want to hurt somebody, like in the framing that I just put, to reduce his heaven, have him put Section 8 of heaven and shit. You know what I mean? He about to be in the projects, heavenly projects, the PJs. So I can see that. I'm making fun of it, but at the end of the day, I think that is a thing. Like, I think that's a viable perspective. I do think that I think Mary's religion is strong. I also think Janelle's religion is very strong. Like, her faith is strong. Because despite everything that Janelle's been through, the one thing that she's consistently held to is her faith. And she's talked about it openly over the course of the breakup, and then, why she doesn't get the release, why she doesn't feel like she needs to do certain things. Because again, like, this isn't just because she's sealed to Cody, right? You're sealed to your husband. And because you're sealed to your husband, that gives you the ability to see your kids in the afterworld. And so, I mean, I think that that's part of the struggle. So it's easy for me to say, because it's not my faith, it's not my religion. Like, when I pass, my belief system is that I'll join my ancestors, my parents, my mom and my other family members who passed, and friends and stuff that passed in the afterlife. Like, I'll join them. But for people who are it seems to me, and I could, and again, I'm not saying for sure. I'm not holding myself out as a an authority on this issue, but it's my understanding that you are sealed to your husband. Like you're giving, and part of that seal is you give him the secret name. It's almost like a password. And then when you pass, when you die, he dies, he's waiting for you, and you go to him in the afterworld, you give him the secret name that you two have agreed to, or he's giving you. And then once you've revealed that, he lets you into to big heaven, and you take your kids with you in the big heaven. And again, I think I saw Sarah M here. If I'm wrong, let me know in the chat. But that's my understanding. And so you don't want to be cut off from your kids. So it's a big deal. Like for them, it's a big deal. For me, it's like it's just flavor when they go back and they tell the curly Q cowboy that, oh well, we're finna embarrass you a little bit more. You get off my back. Oh, I ain't taking my foot off your neck, not even a little bit. I mean, my foot is gonna be completely up your tuchus. Okay, I'm gonna bury my foot so deep in your ass that the water on my knee will quench your thirst. Okay, I am not backing off. I'm gonna put my foot in your ass. And I'm gonna press the gas. We on that kind of demon time. So, like for me, I think I'm more of the, I guess, more of the world, the secular world. So I'm like, hey, do it to them. But for them, it's a lot more serious. It's a lot more serious. But yeah. So, but thank you so much, Andrea. Brittany, not Brittany. Okay.
Okay, one other thing. I am having a really hard time with Robyn. This episode made me livid at Robyn. We have seen her sob on the floor in her bathroom over Christmas. We've seen her sob over, not getting to sit on a porch with her sister wives. And this child that she has known for the last 15, 14-ish years dies in the most horrifying way, like one of the most horrifying ways, and she can't even muster up a singular tear. I'm gonna be honest, I was disgusted, and I don't want to dogpile on her because, especially on this particular topic, I don't, but I cannot wrap my mind around what she could have possibly been thinking sitting in those interviews with nothing to show for it. Mary's inconsolable, Janelle's inconsolable, Christine, Cody's inconsolable, and she's just, okay, sorry for the back to back, but she was talking about Garrison as if he was some random co-worker's kid and the co-worker she only met once, not someone that, according to her, from what the way she would describe it, she played a huge role in raising. I, I, I don't, I don't know, but I do think it shows how much of a difference there was in how the OG3 and Cody set up their family and how Robyn came into the family. Because personally, I do not think that she sees any of the OG13 as her kids. I think she sees them as these kids that she had to have because she wanted Cody. And that's it. I'm sure she has love for them. I'm sure she cares about them, but from a very distant perspective, not as a parent. And that was made very clear in tonight's episode. And I hope I'm wrong. I hope in the coming episodes we're proven wrong about her.
All right, Brittany, not Brittany, coming with the powerhouse. Yeah, I agree. I think that I stayed away from a lot of the stuff with Robyn or I said wig hat name, didn't I? Yeah, you did. Yeah, you did. The brown bomber. Um the eyebrows which are painted. Dancing with cry brows. Ted ducks. Um quack quack Ted ducks. Look, I think at the end of the day, because I do have some feelings about what we saw, what was on display with regard to how she reacted to Big G's passing. And I think that it's like on one end, I feel you. I feel everybody who said this and brought this up. Like it is crazy as hell. Like this woman came onto the first episode, first time we saw her, she cried. She's cried on every episode of Sister Wives since the inception of the show. With, if you notice, with the exception of this season. This is the first season she didn't cry every episode. This is literally the first. It took 19 seasons for her to get her emotional state together. Okay. And she's cried during the course of this season, but she cried every episode prior to this. So we watched her literally like we have nicknames for cry brows. Okay. Talking about how much she cries. That's what she's known for. The ugly cry. Right. But she didn't even attempt, like it is not even like she cried. She fake cried. Okay. But she didn't even attempt. Like, you know what I mean? Like you get credit for the attempt, I think. Like we probably still would bash you because the fact that you actually don't feel it is problematic. But at least you tried. In this case, you didn't even try. You didn't even try. And the one time you did look like you were saucing up and like, that I dab. It was about you and what you were going through and what Cody was going through, supposedly crying for him. But you didn't cry for this child that passed. And like Brittany said that, you know, at the end of the day, she was acting like this was a coworker's kid. I guess ultimately it was because maybe that's how she views the OG3. They're not sisters. They're not friends. They're not family. They just coworkers. They people you show up with and film with. And that's how she treated Mary for the most part. The only time she got with Mary was when there was a camera crew available. If there was no camera crew there, she didn't come over to a house. That's what she struggled with during the whole COVID thing. Like, why don't you come over to the house? I got this whole playground. We can go out back and sit and watch the kids play. I'll stay 6 feet away. They can play. They'll be the only ones on the damn thing. It's not even like, even with regard to that damn playhouse, and we're going to put it all the way on the buck. It's not like during the COVID stuff, oh, I don't want to go over there and have the kids playing on the playground because it's even though it's in Mary's backyard and she'll be the only one access to it. What do you think Mary's up there sliding down the slide when you ain't home, when you ain't over there? You think she out there playing on it? The only people who will be playing on that damn slide set or swing set or whatever, playground set, is your kids. That's why she rented the house that she rented. That's why she got the big playground in the back for your kids. Her kid isn't showing. You think Leon and their partner are showing up, pushing each other on the swings in the backyard? I don't think so. I'd be willing to bet unless is there a copious amount of alcohol involved, I don't see that happening. I just don't. So the idea that she didn't even go over during that time, the only time you could make your way over to the house or you wanted to sit out front and shoot on the porch was when you were actually shooting for the show. That kind of thing, you know. But there is one aspect of this that I think I want to put into the mix as well, just as a possibility. It's simply this. There is a possibility that let me reframe it. Strike that, redirect. There is a point where you may feel comfortable faking what you feel comfortable with, but you don't necessarily feel comfortable faking things that are too close. So I don't mind fake crying about stuff I don't care about, right? Oh, I almost missed Logan's graduation. I could have got there on time, but missed it. You know, that kind of stuff. Oh, Oh, I made these women feel bad because I was screwing their husband before behind their back, ruining their families. Oh, making my life better. Oh, I'm so sensitive. Yeah, she don't care, right? So it's easy to lie about stuff that you don't care about. It's easy to discuss things that you don't care about. But if maybe this did hit too close, maybe she actually genuinely had feelings towards this, and she didn't know what to do with it because it was a strange alien feeling that she couldn't deal with. No, I'm dead. That's cruel. But maybe it was too hurtful and too painful, so she actually didn't want to address it on TV because she actually might break down and cry. She actually might lose and show some emotion. And the craziest part about it is, as much struggle as they did on the PR end, and this is a completely selfish, asinine thing to say, and I'm recognizing that. It's a jerk thing to say. But if they were so worried about PR, the best thing that she could have did for her PR was actually to be a genuine person in that instance or that moment. Like, just the selfish side of it. You shouldn't do it for that reason, but it would have damn sure helped. If she actually would have came out and she would have showed some type of human reaction or human emotion towards the loss of a person that you consider to be your child, then, you actually would have made inroads. People wouldn't have been in love with you, but people could have sympathized with you far more than they do now, clearly. I would even go as far as to say this, to make the point a little more poignant. I don't know Garrison. Never met him, never met his mama. I never met none of these people. These people are all strangers to me. And most of you are in the same boat that I'm in, right? We just rowing in the same direction. But I have sympathy not only for him and his struggles, I have sympathy for his siblings who have endured this loss. I have sympathy for his mother's devastation, all of them. Even these women who are involved in his life, I understand. Like, I have some respect and some sympathy and regard for Captain Curly Q, okay, and his wife, because you guys were in close proximity to this young person. You knew him, all his friends. I have sympathy for all his friends, and I didn't know him. I didn't know him. You knew him personally, and you didn't feel anything. I mean, that says a lot about you. I'm going to leave it there. That says a lot about you. I'll leave it there until maybe next week, and then we're going to talk about it. But yeah. I hear what Brittany's saying, and I agree with it. Like, that's one of the weird things about it, because I literally watched her cry on the dirty ass bathroom floor about dumb shit. Like, how did the family ain't together? We can't be together. We go to the holidays, and we got to celebrate the holidays by ourselves. Even though I have a house full of presents spent with the OG3's money, I'm gonna cry because they didn't come over here and watch me open up the presents that I stole and get the presents that I got from stealing money from them. Oh God, how can I do this? I can't do it alone. Take the wheel. It's not right. The most pleasurable part of Christmas, apparently, isn't getting the presents. Is getting the presents knowing full well they're the direct result of the money that you stole from these women, and they didn't get anything. You know what I mean? That's my pleasure. That's part of the fun, I guess. You know what I mean? It's not enough to take the kid, take candy from a baby, but you got to open that bad boy up, pop it in your mouth, and talk about how good it is. That's when it becomes fun. Maybe according to some folks. So we'll see. Before I go on, let me just make sure I get some of these super chats out the way. We have Crystal Manning, $10 super chat. James, I've been working crazy hours and missing my HBO time. Well, welcome back, Crystal. I understand working. It's rough out there. It's hard out there on a player. But yeah, thank you so much for the super chat and welcome. Thank you for joining us. That's awesome. Welcome back. Let me give you a little something. Let me get a little something. And we have Sarah M, member for 1 month. All right, Sarah, I see you. Welcome. Make sure you take advantage of the Monday morning motivations. I was just talking to the Mormon missionaries at the front door, and I'm low-key mad I missed my first call. God is still laughing at me. Yeah, right. That's just the way it works. Ding dong, bing bong. Who the heck? Remember, I was just going to jump on a live and talk about you guys. But, sometimes you got to take the call. You got to take the call. But thank you so much. And you guys, you had some excellent points in the in your voice messages. I appreciate. So thank you for adding some context and educating this poor soul, this lowly soul, on the ways of Mormonism and giving your perspective with the milk before meat. That's awesome. Thank you so much, Sarah M. Welcome to the membership. And then we have Crystal Manning once again became a YouTube member. All right, Crystal. Welcome in. Welcome in. Same. Make sure you take advantage of the Monday morning motivations. All right. We got Raiders Mom 99 Super Chat. Robyn didn't even display auntie love energy. I know, right? It was disturbing. Like, that's the one thing. Like, you would expect out of anybody, especially Miss supposedly sensitive. Like, I'm basically an empath. I feel what everybody else around me is feeling. That's why I can speak, Cocanese. That's why I can speak that, because I'm an empath and I understand what everybody's saying. And you would expect that that energy should have been crazy. If you're really tied into other people's feelings and stuff, the depth of that type of loss, being in that environment would break you. And I didn't see none of that. So maybe, again, I don't want to be a super jerk and like kind of what Brittany is saying. I don't want to pile on, but it's just like, what is wrong with you? I would be looking at her sideways in that situation. Like, what is going on with you? You're not even a little sad? Get the kids. We need to get the hell up out of here before the sun go down. Because this vampire, you know what I mean? Like, I thought she was just sucking the blood out of the financial body, but apparently this blood sucker, she cold as hell. Like, I don't know. Did she have a soul? Them shark eyes. Telling them lies, like she telling them lies with them shark eyes. I don't know, because she's always on the hunt. Well, when she be telling them stories, eyes be shooting all over the room like a ricochet. Tell her ricochet mama. But thank you so much, Raiders, Ma. All right, I saw you in what IQ and them too. That's awesome. IQ, what's going on? IQ, if you ever want to come on, let a player know. I want to get you on the show. Sarah L with the $2 super chat. Respect to R for not front. She and G always had beef. Yeah. With respect to R, they always had a problem, because Garrison, at least in the way he came off on the show, I don't know if this is how it played out in like real life IRL or whatever, but on the show, Garrison wasn't, he was very straightforward with his opinion. I remember there was an episode where Solomon went to put his hands on Gwendolyn, and Big G's was like, no, oh, hell no, we ain't doing that. And like he went to reprimand Saul and tell Saul, like, you got to keep your hands to yourself. You can't be, you ain't putting your hands on none of these my siblings or whatever. You can't be putting your hands on people. And at that point, Janelle was talking to him, and he was like, look, everybody's sitting here trying to coddle him and tell him that he's a good boy and tell him that he didn't do nothing wrong, when he's actually trying to hurt somebody, which is very ironic, because they were coming down on Big G's for saying essentially to Solomon and trying to raise Solomon up in that kinder, gentler way, where he doesn't put his hands on people. And they rep all, it was like Janelle, Cody, and Robyn. She had a whole bunch of shit to say behind the scenes. But who he talking to? Talking to my kid like that. But Garrett, Big G's was going back and forth with Krusty Crew. He went back and forth with the whole Krusty Crew, the dynamic dummies. Okay, he was going back and forth with him. Like, look, you got to raise him to let him know that he can't be putting his hands on people. You trying to coddle them and play with them and play nice with them, but you need to correct them. Forget all that coddling. You can correct them, and you don't have to be a jerk about it. You ain't got to pick them up and throw them through the window, but you can at least sit there and have a conversation with him and let him know that the actions that he was doing and the behavior that he was displaying is inappropriate. And we need to correct our behavior. You don't tell a child that they're bad. You tell them what they're doing is bad and unacceptable. You have bad behavior. You yourself aren't bad. There are ways to do that where you can correct a child without having to tell them that they demean them or tear down their personality, their characters, or trying to destroy who they are as individuals. But you want to make sure that you put something into them so that way you're not raising a damn psychopath. And so I completely agree with what Big G's was saying. And he was standing on business. And even when Cody was like, look, I'm the parent. I'm sorry, I said his damn name, didn't I? When the curly Q captain was like, I'm the parent, I'm going to say what I want to say, and I don't need nobody throwing in their 2 cents and trying to tell me what's what. And he went right back at him, was like, look, if I see something wrong, I'm going to say it. And what you did was wrong. What you need to do is you need to correct it. If you don't want me saying nothing, you need to get on it. And then Cowboy Curly's was like, I don't understand. Who is he to tell me, a parent, how to discipline my kid? I don't know. Maybe he's the kid who was sitting there with his single parent ass mom taking care of his younger siblings because your ass wasn't there. How about that? Maybe he's the one that was sitting there watching Logan get up in the morning and take care of his brothers and sisters because your ass wasn't there. How about that? Maybe he's the one that was sitting there watching Christine go out to work, and he might have been part of the crew that was sitting there talking about, I don't know what's going on with Aspen because she's down there at 10 years old taking care of her brothers and sisters because your ass was too busy and you weren't there. So maybe that's the reason why he thought he could criticize or at least critique your parenting at the time. So again, I 100% agree with what Sarah was saying. Garrison was 10 toes down about talking to Cody or Krusty Krab. She was 10 toes down about talking to Krusty Dusty about what was going on with what he thought. He wasn't shy about holding his tongue, and he told people what he thought. Me, I like that kind of person. I like somebody who's straight up because you never have to guess where you stand with them. You know full well whether you got a problem or you don't have a problem with them. I respect that. Right? But I can see a situation where if you a fragile ass dude, little punk ass dude, you might not be able to take somebody looking at your situation and offering their opinion because you're too sensitive. So I 100% agree. And because it involved one of Wig Hat's kids, I totally see her jumping into the whole fray and saying, look, he don't need to be correcting him. I mean, we here 5 parents and we could correct him if he need to be corrected. Then the same way when Mary was standing out there yelling at the boys because these are your brothers and sisters and you need to cut out the bullying. Well, what I'm supposed to let this little boy think he can put his hands on people? That's how about we break the cycle by stopping him from thinking it's okay for him to put his hands on people and reach back and ball his fist up and try to put it in somebody's face. For one, he tried to hit his sister. So you teaching a little boy it's okay to hit girls, one, or women. 2, you teach him it's okay for him to put his hands on anybody. I don't give a damn whether they're a man, woman, child, whatever. You keep your hands to yourself. Keep your feet on the ground. Put your hands in your pockets. You feel like you can't control who you put your hands on, put your damn hands in your pocket. Okay? Because we're not doing that around here. Like I've seen some YouTube videos that were very reminiscent of how I was raised. And if you ever called yourself, go put your hands up and slap somebody, you might get one just out of reaction. It won't even be like, oh, I'm going to get my vengeance. No, you slap somebody, you slap one of them adults before they realize what happened. You might be getting up off the ground. I'm just saying. Like, and you have to be careful too when you put your kids out like that. And I'm about to climb up on a little soapbox. When you put your kids out like that, you gotta be very careful because not everybody's gonna treat your kids the way you do. I love my kids. I understand that nobody's gonna love my kids the way I love my kids. Nobody's gonna treat my kids the way I treat my kids. And I raise my kids as such. I don't raise my kids to go out here and think that they can go out and put their hands on people because not everybody got the same restraint. Okay, because you go out here, and I'm not even talking about like just adult to child. I'm talking about kid to kid. You get him ready because he'll do it. And it's the thing about like violence in the household. One, where did he learn it? That's one of the first things we're gonna touch on. Yeah, but we're gonna pass that over. Where did he learn it? Is this something he's seen around the crib? Secondly, it doesn't necessarily have to be a thing that he saw between the couple, the dynamic dastardly duo, but it's just something that kids do, right? They have to be taught that you can't get frustrated, put your hands on people. You have to learn to control yourself. But when that happens, not every kid is trying to take a L. Okay, because some people, their kids, they tell their kids, I don't send you to school to get hurt. If I'm not sending you there to bully people, I'm not teaching you how to handle yourself or to throw hands because somebody say something you don't like and you just run up in their mouth. That's not why I'm doing it. But I will teach you how to throw a punch or defend yourself so that you can protect yourself. And if somebody says something to you, it is what it is. You walk away. But if they put their hands on you or they threaten you in a way that you don't feel like you can get out of there safely, you do what you need to do so you can get back home to me and we'll figure it out. And when you have people who teach their kids that, and you have another set of kids who are off learning that they can put their hands on whoever they want because these kids are older and you got to understand they're babies and you can't hit them back, they start to feel like they can put their hands on whoever they want to. And then one day, they're going to run into the wrong damn one or the right one, depending on which side of that coin you flip. Okay? And when they run into that right one or the wrong one is not going to stop because, I was just doing it and my mama dad, you ain't supposed to hit. Look, it could get gritty out here in the city, okay? Not everybody playing with your child. So you don't send your kid out there. You don't arm your kid up to think that they can just go out and put their hands on people. Some people are not tolerating that. Because I tell you what, I told my kids when they was little, like, look, you do what you got to do. You do what you got to do. Nobody have a right to put their hands on you. All right? Nobody have a right to put their hands on you. And if you can get away safely and tell somebody, you get away safely and tell somebody. But whatever, at the end of the day, you make sure you can get away safely. And if you got to put somebody you got to put somebody on their back, then that's what's got to happen. You know what I mean? And I'll come in there and I'll tell the teacher. I remember, like I said, I told that story before. Teacher called me up and said, your daughter took down a boy or whatever. Okay. Where was you? Like, you calling me in here because she had an answer for what he was trying to do to her. She had an answer, and more to the point, she had a solution. Would you be calling me? More to the point, you wasn't calling me when he was picking on her. You wasn't calling me when she came home and was complaining about it. You wasn't calling me when I called in and I told you this is what was going on, that this little boy was putting his hands on her. You didn't do anything then. Why are you calling me in now? I told you that I'm not going to sit up here and let her feel like she got to go somewhere and be afraid, intimidated, or scared to voice her opinion or be herself. I don't understand why we surprised. What are we talking about? Because she defended herself? No. I'm one of those parents. I'm not going to tell my kid. So your kid can feel good about themselves. I'm not going to tell my kid that they got to be diminished and they have to go somewhere and let somebody brutalize them so that your kid feels better about themselves. Bump that. No, we don't do that. We're not doing that. You're not going to teach my daughter that she got to shut the F up because you don't like what she's saying or you don't like how she walking, what she wearing, what she look like, or whatever the case may be. In order for you to feel better about yourself, you get to walk across the room and put your hands on my child? Oh, no, we're not doing that. So I 100% agree with Garrison. You don't, because you are used to dealing with people who restrain themselves because of the situation that you in. But you're going to put you're putting your kid in danger because you're going to put your kid next to another kid that has the same mentality. I'm not going to let you put your hands on me. This is not a game. This is not fun. I'm not going to let you put your hands on me. I'm not, because people, kids like that. Oh well, you trying to promote violence. I'm not promoting violence. I'm just telling you that people can get hurt. I'm not a fan of people putting their hands on anybody. I don't think men should put their hands on women. I don't think women should put their hands on men. Because at the end of the day, I don't think kids should be hitting on people either. Because what happens if he gets frustrated and instead of him trying to hit you with one of them to punch you wrong and it don't hurt, he go in there and pick something up. Say he go pick up a ashtray, one of them old time ashtrays, them glass ashtrays they used to have, and he go upside somebody's head. He go outside, pick up a rock or a stick, and he come back in, or them hockey sticks they got laying around, or baseball bats. No, we don't put our hands on people. So I 100% agree with Garrison. I'm sorry I went off on that, but yeah, that was just something that was I noticed recently. But yeah, 100%. So Garrison was one of them kids. Garrison, Hunter, Maddie, they were all kids who said something about like the situations with uh uh Captain Curly Q and Wig Hat. They all had something to say about it at one point or another, and that's part of the reason why I think that they're the ones who should be mentioned. And to this dastardly couple, and I also think that that's part of the reason why every time they have a conversation, and it might be something a little more adverse, that old girl sees it as like you're trying to offend or be aggressive or confrontational because can't handle the truth. Can't handle the truth. But thank you so much, Sarah M. Let me get a little something. We have Kathy Mosley, $10 super chat. The military memorial was supposed to be private. Only K&R brought the TLC camera crew to this closed event. Oh, wow. That is what upset the OG3. Oh, my goodness. I did not know that. But that also goes back to like what I was saying with Brittany, not Brittany. Thank you so much, Kathy. I did not know that. Yeah, because what I was saying to Brittany, like, she's saying that treating her like a coworker. That's part of the problem, that they did treat her like a coworker. They treated the two of them kind of come off like social media influencers are depicted in movies and games and I guess mainstream media. The way they produce them, like everything is content. Like they're just out looking for content, and then us being able to do it. Like they have live stream people who go over to foreign countries and make an ass of themselves and get arrested for content, because everything is like you got to comment and content on it. I watched the kid tear his car up. He had like a McLaren. I forget his name, but he tore his car up because he's driving in a rainstorm, and he made content out of it. Like he does Kicker, something like that. He's a live streamer, IRL live streamer. He made content out of it. He had kid was sitting there like a passenger in his car. Cameraman was in the accident with him, standing head bleeding. Right, had to go get stitches or staples or something in his head to close his head up. He had him film him standing next to his car. Oh, for the thumbnails and doing the like, oh, my car is tore up. What am I going to do? Right, and it was all content. So broke up with his girlfriend, content. So I could see the two of them, media whores going down and trying to get TLC to go to this because they need the content. Because if you really think about what they've put out so far, and with respect to their storyline, they don't really talk about anything. So they don't have much that they talk about as far as their lives are concerned. So this is like a gold mine for them. And that's what I was saying earlier about this being a golden ticket. Like most people would look at this as a tragic situation that they would never wish on anybody. But for somebody who is looking for content, this is a gold mine, because this is something that you could just keep going back mining. I remember my channel actually took a big hit, little inside baseball. My channel took a big hit after Big G's passed, because I took a little break from covering sister wives in general. And my channel went way down, and my views and stuff went down. I haven't recovered. But a lot of my stuff got knocked off because I didn't want to delve into the whole thing with Garrison and talking about like the two that shall not be named and running them down. I was trying to give the family a break. And out of doing that, I took a loss. But there was a lot of money. And I'm not faulting anybody who took advantage of it. There's a lot of YouTubers who took advantage of it. YouTubers, TikTokers, Facebook people. There was a lot of money to be made when he passed away because people were so curious about it. So if you put something about like, I got exclusive such and such and such and such, inside information on such and such, real cause of da da da, you can make a lot of money talking about it. You know, there was a lot of opportunity. People's channels blew up during that time, but it's just where you are and where you know the line you want to draw. I know a lot of senior perspective. She took a break. Sarah from Reality Squad, she took a break. Like there's a lot of people that took breaks from it, but other people were like, what? We all in. I'm here for it. So I can totally see. And again, there's when you look at like the realm of responsibility as a YouTuber, like I said, I cover them and I have compassion for them, but I don't know them. For Cody and Rob, for the kid making duo, for the two of them to do it, this is your child. This is not content. This is your child. This is your kid. This is somebody who you raised or at least was around when they were growing up. I don't know how much you raised them, but you were around when they were growing up. You remember when they were a baby. You remember when they were born. You know, dad. You remember when they were little. Cry brows, and you see them as content. Like it's disturbing. So, but let me give Kathy Mosey. Thank you so much for the super chat. Let me give you a little something. Then we'll get back to the phone calls. Sorry, I'm kind of went off on a little bit of a tangent, but it's all good, right? This for Kathy. Then I'll do two more and we'll get back into it. We got Cindy Clapper. What's going on, Cindy? All right. 99 super chat. Thank you. No message, just the love. Thank you so much. Give you a little song. Hey, Cindy. Then we have Brittany, not Brittany. 49 super chat. When Big G told Krusty about the Russian generals when K was in his play military era, is my favorite Big G moment. Yeah, right. For those who don't know, Big G was telling him about the generals because Cody was like, I'm the general, I'm in charge, I tell you orders or whatever, and Garrison had to correct them because Krusty Dusty was trying to meet him where he was because at the time Garrison was really interested in going into the military. In fact, he had Krusty and Janelle sign him in early so that he could go in, he could enlist. And then, of course, you had Hunter who went into the Air Force Academy. And so he was all about the, I'm proud to be an American. So I'm going to talk about the military. And he was all up on that kick, but Garrison had to correct him. That was awesome. Oh, man. But here's some for Brittany, not Brittany. All right. Thank you so much, Brittany, to everybody who shared their thoughts. Let me see. Oh, I gotta get back to the win jigger. H Jazzy.
Hi, I have another question. When they talk about the family fund, we know Janelle and Mary put their other job money into the family pot. Do you think Christine had her own separate account, or do you think she added to the family pot with her other job also? Because it seems like she was able to get away a lot easier than, say, Janelle or Mary untangling their job money from the family fund.
Okay. Good question. Here's my assessment. I think that when Christine was working, we have to keep in mind that as somebody who comes in and creates some waves, pointed out several times. Christine, all of them took turns declaring bankruptcy at some point because we talk about to say her name. Crowbrow, um, painted with brows, painted with brows. When she came into the family, she had a tremendous amount of debt. She came in with 30 grand worth of Victoria's Secret debt and credit card debt and stuff. And part of the retort to that was, well, all the wives had declared bankruptcy at some point, which is true. I think that they in the instance that we're talking about, let's be very clear. When they were declaring bankruptcy, a lot of their bankruptcies were tied to the care, maintenance, and medical needs of their children, right? That senior stuck up pants or Papa promises he wasn't fulfilling. So they were taking care of like the basic stuff. So a lot of the family were kicking in because they were in survival mode. And I've been saying this for seems like a couple years now since I started my channel and talking about sister wives. And Cody, I said his name, Krusty Q has said the same thing, right? That they were in survival mode early on before the show. So if they had additional money, like Christine, she had additional money because she was working. There's a possibility, very strong possibility, that the reason why she had the job and the money that she was making from the job very well may not have been going to support the family, but was going to support and alleviate the bills that were generated as a result of her taking care of her kids because of medical needs and outstanding bills that she had that she was responsible for, that Papa Promises didn't step in and take care of. So I think that was the little different as far as her being able to get out without her money being tied up. If we recall, just real briefly, if we recall when they left Las Vegas, one of the things that Christine insisted upon is that in order for her to sell her house in Vegas, she had to purchase a home in Arizona. And because she purchased a home and she put that home in her name, that gave her the out to be able to leave the family a little more clean than, say, Mary and Janelle, who had sold their homes and continued to put their paychecks and money from TLC as well as additional funds into the family fund. Then when they sold their homes, they put the proceeds from their home sales into the family fund. So when they went to leave the family, the dastardly duo, the criminal couple, they had already looted most of the family fund. So when it was time for them to go, there wasn't anything left for them to take. Or if they wanted to take it, they had to tiptoe past the two of them, those who shall not be named. They had to go back through them to get to the family fund money, which they were not ready to release. So that's why part of the reason why it was a lot easier for Christine to leave than it was for the other two, because Christine, rightly, wrongly, smartly, or just by happenstance, she set it up so that she could leave because she had things in her name. I hope that answers the question, or is at least succinct enough to answer the question that you posed, or at least that's my perspective of it. Next up, guys, we have Sam. Oh, Sam, what you got to say, Sam?
Hi, James. This is Sam from Michigan. And a few weeks ago, you said that nobody wanted to see a Cody and Robyn spinoff because nobody was invested in them and we didn't know their kids. And I would argue that we don't know any of them. They don't share really much of anything now. They're the show is basically just talking heads with B-roll film. And they haven't taken us on their growing journey or their changing journey at all. The show, when you watch it back, shows TLC paying for trips, and then there's some weddings, but you don't see much of their lives, and we never really saw the relationships with each other. So I don't think a spinoff would be successful for any of the cast members.
All right. Here's a crazy part, Sam. I don't disagree with you. I've pretty much said the same thing, especially with regard to um uh Cody and Robyn. Or I said their names. Damn it. Especially when it comes to those folks, those people, especially when it comes to them, because I target them specifically because they've gone season after season not talking at all about themselves or their relationship. The closest thing we've come to discussing their relationship is actually this season. That's probably why they think it's such a big deal, because this is the first time they actually came out and said, you know, I really love her. She's the only one I ever loved. And the problem that they have is that this isn't a revelation, because we've all been saying that for years now. Like, you just caught up. You just figured it out, or you figured out that we figured it out. I don't know which is the case, but either way, this is information that we already had. And with regard to the other wives, I 100% agree. One of the struggles that the OG3 is going to have moving forward is, how much do you really want to let us know? How much do you want to let us in? And if you don't want to let us in, that becomes a problem because of the show, the nature of the show that you're on. This isn't Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous. I think I've framed it that way before. This isn't Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous. Like, nobody wants to watch a show with people preening and propping and going around talking about how much they have and how much they own, and look at how beautiful my world is, my life is, this the house I live in, isn't it awesome? Like, that show isn't going to play well. I don't think that show will play as well now as it would have so many years ago. Before, Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous had opened up the door. This is an old show. I forget the guy who hosted it. Robyn Leach, I think his name was. It was a show that opened the doors where people weren't familiar with how rich people actually lived, like the luxurious lifestyles they have. Now with Instagram, yeah, broke people pretending to be rich. And they have these fascinating things, these rented cars that they sit on the driveway and they take pictures with them and all that. Like, it's not as elusive as it once was. And because it's more accessible, it's not it's not as attractive, and it doesn't make as compelling TV as it once did. And I think that they all have this problem. I think that also, when you look at, like, for instance, Mary, one of the big complaints I had with Mary is that Mary, Christine, and Janelle will go on to talk shows. They very rarely talk about anything of consequence or of a serious nature. Like, a lot of stuff that they do is they just reiterate the same thing. Cody bad. Christine, me and David are great. Christine and Janelle, yeah, we're growing as people. Our friendship is amazing. We're going to go on trips. We're going to spend time together. We're going to try to keep our sisterhood together, because this is my sister wife, et cetera, et cetera. But they don't talk about really what's going on with them. And that could be a problem moving forward to a show. So I see what you're saying, and I don't necessarily disagree with you. There would have to be some changes made in order for them to survive a next season. Even, to be honest with you, season 20, I don't know where this family goes. Even like, they might be able to get some and this is terrible to say, I recognize this, but they'll get some traction because of Big G's loss, just to see where they go and where they land and how they end up with. But for the most part, like, if you're not willing to open the doors and let people in, and there's no, and trust me, I'm not throwing stones, because I'm not willing to do it. Okay. I'm not willing to let people come into my house and film me 24/7 with my interactions with my kids. So I'm not saying that you're terrible people because you're not willing to do it. I'm just saying that if you sign up for a job, you got to do the job. So I don't know. We'll see, though. We shall see. I do think, though, with TLC, they've had some pretty awful shows. So I wouldn't be surprised if they didn't try. I will say that. I won't be surprised if they didn't try. And so I fully expect to see in the next couple of years a spinoff with Christine, maybe Christine and Janelle, maybe a spinoff just Christine, just Janelle, Christine with David, Janelle with some of the kids, McKelty, Maddie, Caleb, and whatever kid moves down to North Carolina, Mary, her new adventures, and then, of course, the two that shall not be named. I can see them getting a spinoff because, again, they get so much attention even with regard to the conversation of sister wives, that TLC will not ignore the attention that they get, positive or negative. They're not going to ignore that. And they're going to give them opportunities, and they're going to cut them a check based on the fact that people might hate watch them. They don't care if you I remember when there were people who protest like companies, whether it's Budweiser, Nike, Anheuser-Busch, lagers or whatever, Yingling, any company that you protest, if you go out and you buy a gross of their products so that you can burn their products up on your lawn, and you can film yourself burning their products up as a sign of revolt, they don't care. Because products that you hate sell just as good and go into your bank the same way as products that you love. Right? When they sell it, if the customer loves it, if they hate it, it doesn't matter to them, because all they see in their ledger is zeros and ones. So they don't care whether you like it or not. So TLC, I think, is in that same realm. But thank you so much for the phone call. Next up, we got someone who gets it.
James, I just wanted to share that I agree with you. When you lose somebody that you love, we do change. And as I was watching Janelle, and her sister was saying it's going to take some time for her to get over it, the reality is, once you lose somebody, you know that there is no getting over it. There's only adjusting to it. And if we're mindful, we take that as a gift. We see things differently. We lean into things a little better. We try to reach out and tell people that we love them, because we know what it's like when you can't do that anymore. So I just wanted to say I understand. Tonight's show was intense, but well handled overall. And I just give so much strength to those kids, to Janelle, and even to Cody, because their loss is immeasurable. And Garrison was an amazing person who has touched so many. Thanks.
All right. I think that's 100% accurate. Like, when you lose people, like you say that you get past it, but you never get past it. Like you never get over it. Because like I say, you'll be fine one day. And that's why we have such strong concern for, I, as well as many other people, have strong concerns for Gabe, because he may appear to be okay today. He very well may think he's okay today. But there might come a time later on where you really start to crash out, and it's just, you're different. Like when you have that kind of loss, the person you were no longer exists. And you might feel like you're a shell of that person. You might even feel like you are that person. You still do kind of the same things, but you're different, right? Like you're doing these different things. Yeah, I'm fine. I'm okay. I do what I gotta do. It's good. And you might even go like a period where you're going through the motions. You're doing all the stuff you used to do, and it seems like you're getting better. And then one day it all crashes down. Like I think that's a possibility that you always have to keep yourself open to, because that's just the new reality. That's your new world. And while you're dealing with that new world, is learning how to navigate that new world. And that's where it becomes a lot more difficult and a lot more taxing for the people around you, because ultimately, like Janelle, it is sad that she has to do it. She has the other sister wife. She has the other OG too, I guess, marrying Christine. But you shouldn't have to do it without the person who was your partner in making that child. And so that's one of the things too. And even with regard to like lessons that you learn, things that you take away from this, you can claim ignorance if you've never experienced this type of loss, this type of way. You may not be aware of it. Like for instance, you could be aware, like you may have experienced loss because you lost parents, you lost aunties, you lost uncles, maybe even lost cousins, right? But that's one way. Like these are people who, you realize that at some point, if things work the way they should work in a natural form, you're going to outlive your parents. So you understand, you kind of go into it understanding that at some point you're going to bury your parents. But at that same time, one of the things that never really occurs to people until it happens is the reality that you may, or there's a potential or possibility that you may have to bury your child. And that's a completely foreign and different thing. And when you're faced with that reality, I think that part of the outrage that a lot of people feel, at least this is a sense that I'm getting, and even from my respect, is that you experience this terrible loss. And instead of you taking the lesson and saying, you know what, I need to fix some things in my life. I'm not doing right. I'm not doing well. I need to fix some things because now I see for sure that this is a possibility that I can lose my kids, that they're not guaranteed, And even if you look at your children, and this is the real part of it, even if you look at your kids and say, okay, well, he's the only one I was concerned with because he was the only one who presented that he would do this. First of all, just because somebody doesn't present that way doesn't mean that that's not something they're struggling with. That's the first part. The second part is there are other ways to go than self-harm. You can get in an accident. You could be driving home and get into a car accident. You know how many people, like, I remember there was a big thing where Christine used to say, I don't use toasters. You know how many people get knocked off using toasters? People get attacked more by sharks. Like, toasters kill more people than sharks. Remember that whole thing and everybody laughed about Christine? You know what kills a lot of people? Falling in the damn bathtub, getting out of the damn bathtub, falling down steps. You know what I mean? Steps will knock you off, okay? So it's stupid, like, not stupid stuff, but it's things like that you don't even consider. And we're sitting here talking about like the possibility that something could happen to your kids, and then something happens to your kids and it touches your family, and then you have additional children that you still don't reach out to or still don't talk to because of your arrogance, your ego, or whatever the hell it is that's keeping you from doing it. That's where a lot of the frustration comes in, I think, because it seems like you had this terrible thing happen to you and you didn't learn anything. You didn't take anything away from it. You didn't learn any lessons. So I was always taught, and then I'll move on because I know it's getting kind of late, but I was always taught that if you are doing something, like, wise men learn from other people's mistakes, smart men learn from their mistakes, fools don't learn anything at all. And in this particular instance, if you went through this particular situation, looking at it, I can say, you know what? I need to, if I fell out with somebody and this is somebody I wanted to have a contact with, or it was important for me to have that kind of connection with, this would be an instance where I can learn from their mistake, right? This instance, that's part of what the channel is based on. Learning from other people's mistakes so we don't have to experience that and go through that torture or that issue or that problem. But if I went through it, I would try to learn from my mistake, right? So I don't experience that again. Trick me once, shame on you. Trick me twice, shame on me. Or as another guy said, I deserve it, right? But if this happens to you and you just keep banging your head against the wall, then you're a damn fool. You're a damn fool. I'm gonna leave it there. That's just kind of where I'm at. And that's why I think so many people are looking at this like, I don't understand how this terrible thing happened to you, and you act like you don't understand that these terrible things can happen to you. What is going on with you? Why do you care what Crybrows think? Why do you care what she thinks? These are your relationships to maintain. The hell with her. If she does, either jump on or jump off. You don't either, you can ride in the car and support me going to see my kids, or you can stay your ass at home. But you're not keeping me from talking to my children. Nobody is doing that. If you got a problem with it, you can stay your ass here. I'll be back. I mean, I don't know. But people are built different. People are built different. Next up, we got Angela Nova.
Hey James, it's your girl Angela Nova from Boston. I love your videos. I just wanted to bring up a fact of why do we let Cody and Robyn get away with saying that Robyn had no influence over the COVID rules when there was actually a scene in one of the last seasons where she and Cody are standing outside and Cody went up to Robyn asking for permission to invite Mary to something. And he came at her with sort of like, she's been following the rules, she hasn't been near anyone. And Robyn responded, well, how would that look? Like, how would it look to the other wives? It wouldn't look fair. Anyways, so tell me that Robyn didn't make the rules. Anyways, thanks, James. Love you.
Thank you so much, Angela Nova. I can't tell you that she didn't make the rules. I'll give you one more. There was a point where before everything settled in, she was talking about she didn't want to have a lot of people around Saul because he was sickly and it could spread. So she wanted to stay separate. Like she said that before the rules were instituted and everything else. So she had a major part in it. Like I don't think anybody has denied that these were her rules. The only issue I say to where I'm not going to give her 100% of the blame, credit, or however you want to phrase it, with regard to the rules. Did I say her name? I don't know. But the reason why I don't want to give her blame or credit 100% is because to me, like I said before about the relationship between the curly Q cowboy and his kids, these are your relationships to maintain. I don't give a damn whether you get along with them or not. Okay? I don't care whether you get along with them or not. I'm going to keep my relationship with my kids strong. I don't care what you got going on. We can be friends. We don't have to like the same people. Okay? I'm going to go see my kids. I'm going to check on them. I'm going to make sure they're okay. And I'm going to do that for my kids. You don't have to go. You don't have to be a part of it. And even if she insisted that these are rules that she wanted to be maintained in her house and her household, that's fine. But it was up to him. He backed her on that stuff. And that's where I hold him accountable. Do I think she set the rules up? Absolutely. Do I think that she authored the rules? Yes. Do I think she pushed Cody to do? I think she pushed him to do it. Yes. But at the same time, he did it. And I don't care whether he was sprung, whether he was pee-whipped or whatever, however you want to phrase it. At the end of the day, this is a decision that he made. We're adults, okay? And we're not animals. And when it comes to sex and sexuality, you have choices to make. You are not compelled to do things just because you got a funny urge in your feeling and a magic lightning bolt hit you in the middle of church. So you had to go dig that thing out. No. We're people, we're adults, we're human beings. We make decisions. We're one of the species on the planet that actually makes decisions as far as who we mate with, how we mate with them, when we mate with them, so on and so forth. We do it for fun, we do it for procreation, whatever the case may be. We make that decision. So based on that, as a foundation, if he went along with it, he's involved with it. So he can go over there and take his ass over there and sit with his friend. Okay? Because even though she authored the rules, he abided by the rules and he enforced the rules. That's as far as I go as far as taking responsibility off of her. But I do think that she orchestrated the rules. Thank you for that. We have Macias.
Hi, James. It's Macias again. Just calling in to leave a message here. This is more of an opinion. I saw that you did a poll on it last time, and I know people have talked about it. And it's about whether or not the family relationships would have survived if Robyn didn't enter the family. I know some people think they would. I don't think so. I do think that Cody and Robyn obviously had some sort of connection because it's obvious that she wears the pants in the family. What she says goes. And Cody just says that she's a shy, pretty wife to try to distract people from that and to try to kind of shift the narrative. But it's obvious. She wears the pants in the family. She says what goes. She's not as shy as he wants us to believe. But I just don't think that the family relationships would have survived, even though they have a connection. The fact that he went and obtained a fourth wife, to me, shows that he was open to starting a new relationship with somebody, and it just happened to be with Robyn, and they actually happened to have a connection. But I think everything that he's doing with cutting his children off, saying the horrible things about the first three wives, he obviously always had that in him, and he was out looking for a fourth wife. It just happened to be Robyn.
I agree. I think that like when I think of the only way that I think that the family would have stayed together or had a hope of staying together long term, and eventually it very well may have disintegrated later on. I think that had Robyn not come into the family and had they not had the opportunity of the TV show, because prior to that it was all about the grind, it was all about survival. And when you're tied into that type of repetitive nature of a lifestyle, then you really don't have the luxury to look outside the family or look for something else. So you're just kind of dialed into what's right in front of you. And I think that because that's where Cody was, he that made the relationships work because they felt like they had to work. They didn't have any other option. Now, that being said, given the option, if say they would have received a television show and they would have received those paychecks, and all of a sudden, even in Robyn's absence, he had the residual income to be able to make life choices beyond survival. I think that the family would have fell apart because the wives would not have been able to keep up with his hopes, ambitions, and dreams he had for himself. They weren't part of the person that he wanted to be. And ultimately, I think Robyn has her own, oh, I said her name. Damn it. I think Wig Hat has her own motivations as to why she does what she does and why she tries to steer the family the way she does. But at the same time, I also think that she compliments where Captain Curly Q is actually at. She compliments him. She's willing to do the things that he wants to do. So whereas like I voiced this before, where I think Mary, Christine, or Janelle, if he would have went to them and said, "Hey, let's screw over the other wives. Let's take all the land. Let's take all the Coyote Pass," I think all of them would have resisted doing that, but not old girl. I think old girl would, okay, I'm with that. Let's do it. You know what I mean? I think that's why they get along. I think that's why that relationship works. I think that when push him down to shove, she praises him. She gives him the things that he needs because she pretends like he's the greatest thing since sliced bread, which he appreciates and he finds attractive. The other three don't because they remember what he was like when he was broke. It's hard to worship somebody as all-knowing, all-wise, and all-powerful, financially successful individual when you sat there and was eating bread sandwiches together. Okay? And by bread sandwich, I mean you take 3 pieces of bread, put them together, you got yourself a sandwich. You know what I mean? Eating hot dogs with no buns. I think that they were there together. So I think that their relationships when they were younger was different. And plus, you're younger. When you start to get older, one of the major differences between being an older person in the dating world versus a young person in the dating world is that older people, wiser people, they date you for who you are. They typically date you for who you are now, who you actually are. Whereas young people will date the potential. They will date who you could be potentially. You potentially could be a rock star lawyer, astronaut, doctor. You have dreams, hopes. You're going to be a rapper. You're going to be a singer. You're going to be a dancer, an actor. Potentially you could be that person. When you at about 40 years old, 30, 40 years old, what do you have going on today? What's on the schedule? What's your schedule look like? You know what I mean? If you're like, yeah, I'm going to get up, I'm going to play me some Xbox or PlayStation, whatever, and then I'm going to watch some movies. Like, you 55? Pass. So I think it's a little different. But so I think that because that is what it is. When they were younger, they were willing to tolerate a lot more. They were able to put up with a lot more because potentially one day things will get better. But as you get older and you realize things aren't getting better, you're not happy. with how things are going. That's why I say later on down the line, they very well could have broke up anyway, even despite the fact that they might have still been financially struggling. But let me know what you guys think in the chat. A wish sandwich, Courtney. I wish I had some meat up in it. Macias, the second message.
This is Macias again. It's kind of a part 2 to my first message that I left. I feel like Cody always had it in him to betray his family the way he did. But I also think Robyn, like, extremely encourages it, and kind of, if anything, maybe led him down that path. But people don't do things that they don't want to. They don't do, he always had it in him to do the things that he's done, and Robyn just loves it. She encourages it. And I just think I think they're toxic together, but so far they've been toxic. Their toxicity has affected other people. And I wish them the best. I don't wish them bad, I hope they can reflect on their actions and move in a positive, direction and repair all the damage that they've caused. But if for whatever reason they ever end up splitting, it's going to be a really nasty divorce. And I think that's when Cody is going to see Robyn's true colors, because she is going to she's going to leave him with nothing if she can. And that's when Cody's going to see what he was useful for. And hey, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they really are these soulmates that they say they are.
Okay, well, I agree with that. And again, I still reiterate, I stand on what I said before with regard to them bringing it up, but I 100% agree. I think that ultimately, one, it's always keeping in mind that if they lie with you, they'll lie to you. If they cheat with you, they'll cheat on you. And if you sat there and you financially ruined your previous partners and previous people you were in a relationship with, and your current partner helped, basically assisted you in doing that, then you can all but guarantee they will definitely do it to you if given the opportunity. So I think that when they had targets, part of the reason why old girl painted with brows, why she was so adamant about keeping the OG3 involved with the relationship, is because it gave the toxicity and the toxic nature of their relationship, the negative nature of their relationship, a target. So once you remove those targets from your relationship, your negativity, your toxicity has no choice but to feed on the people who are around you or in close proximity, which would be Crybrows and Coaster feeding on each other and being negative and toxic to one another. I think that also might lead to them eventually. Like I know there was like a whole push where they were saying that, oh, well, they weren't really having problems with each other. It's just something that was put on. I think that they very well could have problems with each other, because you're so used to talking, especially if your entire relationship is based on what somebody else is not doing. When those other people leave, that's what you talk about when you get together, what somebody else isn't doing. And when you don't have nobody else to talk about, the only person you can talk about is the person you with. And that's part of the reason why those relationships fall apart. And I think that when it comes down to it, that's going to be something that the two of them have to get past. I think that, me does think, you ever heard the phrase, me does think they protest too much. I think that they profess their love too much. Me does think they profess too much. I think that they're professing their love too much. A lot of times, at least in my experience, the people who sit around and talk about how happy they are and how awesome their partner is, and oh, they the love of my life, and I'm so happy I made them, they are miserable. That's just something y'all not only trying to convince me, but you trying to convince your damn self, because your relationship is dog water. And you trying to, be so sunshiny about it because you trying to, speak it into reality. And I kind of get the feeling like with the two of them, because they're so fake in a presentation that they have as far as their relationship and everything going on in their lives, I think they're so fake that they very well may not be happy. The fact that they went out, instead of you fixing up the McMansion that you already have and paying that bad boy off and moving on, you guys go and buy a $2.1 million mansion. So instead of you being happy with the thing that you have and improving upon it, you have to go out and buy something else. Are you supplementing your happiness or sadness because you didn't do the thing that you wanted to do, or because you're not happy or content in your current relationship? So I do think, again, I think that might have be indicative of the fact that their relationship isn't as strong as they profess. And two, it's not something that's built to last. Like, I don't think the other relationships were necessarily built to last either, but I don't think that this relationship is built any better. I just think it's built different. That's kind of where I am. But we have Anonymous coming through again. You don't have to necessarily leave your name. So we got Anonymous.
Hi, I have a question. So if Cody expected Christine to pay the family back for the down payment of her home, how come Robyn and Cody don't have to pay back Janelle or Mary? What is your opinion?
Well, I think the reason why they see it because selfish people do selfish shit. I think that, hey, long short, go cut it to the chase. I think that at the end of the day, the way the family fund, the big picture, the family was all representative of one thing and one thing only. And that was Captain Curly Q, Papa Promises. That was it. So when he takes money out of, when the money goes into the family fund or the big picture or the family or whatever, and he takes the money out, that's for him. That's because he's the one that has to make the decision because he's the leader, right? So when they kick their money to the to that, and he had to use some of, and let's be honest, let's be very clear about this. When Christine or Janelle or Mary accessed the family fund, that wasn't the family lending them money. Okay. They paid into the system. That was not an entitlement. That's not something that they were being given. They paid into the system. If they never worked or they never contributed any money from their TLC checks, never hit Cody Brown LL, I just said his damn name, Jackass R Us LLC. If it never hit that account and money came out of How Big a Ass Are We LLC and went to Christine, Mary, or Janelle, then we could say that they were given money, that they were gifted this money. But if you paying into a system, I'm paying into the system. I have insurance, right? I'm paying insurance. I've been paying car insurance forever, and I haven't had the opportunity, knock on wood, to use it, right? But I've been paying my car insurance. I'll be damned if I have an incident or something happens with my car, and I call the car insurance up, they be like, "Look here, man, we gonna give you this money, but just don't be calling here asking us for nothing. I'm not asking you for nothing. I've been paying into this system for years. And now I want to take advantage of the benefits that I've been paying for. I've been contributing and paying. So it's not, you're not giving me anything. This is what I'm doing owed. This is part of the agreement. And when Christine, Mary, or Janelle took money and they were using that money to house children, much like what Captain Crow's Face said, sandpaper washcloth, what he had talked about, right? Oh, the house, the McMansion is used to house my kids. Well, they were housing kids too. So when they took it, they were doing the same thing. And the reason why they feel like, they were given of their money because they saw all the money as their money. That was part of the problem. The criminal ass couple saw all the money that came into the family as their money and something that they owed. No matter who punched the clock, they saw it as their money. And this goes back to something that was said earlier. But a couple people said it. Sarah M. Some other folks have said it. Like they would go to work and they would view their money as the parents viewed their money as their money. Sarah's money for babysitting is their money. Cody or shoot, the Crink Curl Bandit. He saw all money that came into the family as his money. He saw all real estate opportunities as his real estate opportunities. That's why he insisted that his name go on all deeds and all properties. That's why, because it was supposed to be his. But yeah, I see what you're saying. Like it is crazy. It's crazy. And it would be crazy frustrating too. Like I think that whole thing is frustrating that they do that to them. And the way they talk about it is just insane to me. But next up, we got Ann.
Hi, James. This is Ann. Watching this previous episode, the one thing that just raised my eyebrows is when Mary and Janelle were talking on Coyote Pass, and Janelle pretty much said that if she would push back at Cody when something wasn't right, he would push back at her, and she would just get frustrated and give in. But then Mary said if she would push back, Cody will push back on her, and then she will be scared to even voice concerns. So I want to know, what was he going to do, or what has he done already to make her be concerned for her safety? And that made me think about Peyton when he was on John Yates's podcast, and he stated that if he was to expose what was really going on behind the scenes in the family, it would get the show canceled, and that he would come back on their show and tell what was really going on once the show is completely canceled and done with. And another thing is I hope that Mary and Christine are able to have a sit down and hash out their differences maybe on next season, or if there is a few more episodes left. But I would like to see them meet up and just hash out whatever their differences are. Mary, give up on your friendship with Robyn, because that lady does not want a friendship with you. She just used you and she got what she needed. But that is my take.
And get hitting it out of the park. I can't disagree with anything you said. I think that when push them down and shove, as far as like Christine and Mary getting back together, I'm really okay with them not getting back together. I mean, I think it would be kind of a cool moment if they were able to work it out. But people being people, if you guys are oil and water, as long as you respect each other, I'm okay with you guys not being friends. Like, I understand that. I think that that's a very real take, like for them not to be friends. Especially if they had problems in the past. Like they might very well be able to get past those problems and actually have a conversation. And who knows, maybe after Big G's passed, maybe they did have a chance to be able to get together and it'll play out this season. But that doorway is open because they did have a huge portion of their life tied together. With regard to like the threat of what he would do if Mary said something, I think that that's troublesome. I think there's a lot of red flags with regard to how these ladies were treated and how the kids were treated with some of the things that they say. Like if I was friends with them, like in real life, if I was friends and somebody had said something like that to me or around me, I would have concerns. You're afraid to say something. You're afraid to talk because he's going to retaliate. Retaliate how? Kind of what you were asking. How is he going to retaliate? What is he going to do to you? I mean, he already broke up with you. He embarrassed you, humiliated you. He basically cast you out. So what else can he possibly do to you? What's going to happen? Unless, of course, like I said, unless it ties back into the religious aspect to where she gets kicked out of heaven and they break the seal and she's lost. And I don't know whether they fall into purgatory or what happens if you are unsealed from somebody. Because I am like, even in a weird part about it, I don't want to get too deep into it because I'm not as versed in it as I probably should be. But I have heard that people have been unsealed after death. So you have a couple where a man will be married to have wives or a wife, and her daughter marries somebody, and then she's sealed to her daughter's husband, like the mother is sealed to her daughter's husband so that they can enjoy the afterlife together, that kind of thing. Like I've heard of those types of situations from Notes to Self 444, Melanie and Corey. They talked about it. I got to get them back on because I want to talk to them anyway, as well as my cringe TV, reality cringe TV folks. I got to get them back in there too. Cringe folks, the raccoons from the dumpsters. Got to get them back in. But I want to do a lot of, gotta think about it, I want to do a lot of collaborations. Might be trying to put that together. But in any event, that could be what he was threatening her with. But a lot of that, I think, even if it doesn't get to the physical form of a threat, I do think that there was financial threats as well as emotional threats, because he did put himself in a position of power. One of the craziest things about these type of domestic situations is that it's easy to ignore. It's easier when you see the physical manifestation, kind of when we talk about depression. It's easier when we see the physical manifestation or mistreatment. It's a lot more difficult to see the impact and damage done when it's emotional mistreatment, when they're emotionally mistreating people, and the hooks that how deep those hooks actually are driven into that person, because it seems like they can't break free. They can't get loose. They can't express themselves. They can't escape what's happening to them because they're so tied in and so looped in and so hooked into this person. So they can't get away. And so I think that plays a part in it too, is that because you figure he's been with her for 30 years. So he's had 30 years of opportunities to hook himself into Mary emotionally and psychologically. And so the threat of him not being around, you keep her unstable. Even though you're kicking her out, you constantly telling her, like, get the hell out. I don't want to be around you. I'm fine with you going off to find another. I'm fine with you finding another boyfriend. But just remember, when you leave, you ain't going to find nobody as good as me. You ain't never going to find nobody who's going to love you the way I loved you, because you're a terrible person. You're horrible. And because you're so terrible and so horrible, I'm the only person who ever took time out to really try to understand you. And you've betrayed me and mistreated me and abused my trust because you're disloyal, yada, 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 blah, 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 blah. So at the same time, when you're opening the door to show her out, you're also grabbing her by the back of her head, by the back of her collar, pulling her back in. So as much as he kicked her out, I think he was pulling her back in too, because he was saying he didn't want to be with her, but at the same time, he was also telling her that the world ain't no better. So where you going to go? You could leave. You should leave. You should go. I don't want you around. But when you get out there, recognize that it's going to be hard. It's going to be terrible. Plus, in addition, you're going to miss being with your kids. You're going to miss being with the family that you've grown accustomed to, because you're no longer sealed to me. And I don't know how it works as far as her mom and being able to get to heaven with her mom. Is he threatening her with that? Her sister and her brother, who she's lost. Are you threatening her with that? I'm not sure how it works. So, I mean, there's a lot of pressure. Like, I mean, if I'm right, if I'm even close to being right, there's a lot of pressure points that he can apply where he doesn't have to say, I want you. But especially after a form of abuse, there's a term, Foucault, he talks about like a institutionalization, where you get institutionalized, your mind, basically you imprison yourself. And so after so many years of mistreatment, the people who are oppressing you no longer have to actively oppress you because you've learned to oppress yourself. There was a study that was done, just real quick. There was a study that was done with fleas. Like they took a spoonful of fleas and they put them in a cup, right? And the fleas would jump up to the top of the cup. Now they could exceed, they had the physical power to exceed that jump height. But because of the cup and the limitations that they were placed under, they kept them under the cup. I forget the duration of time, but they kept them under the cup for such an amount of time that when they took the cup away, none of the fleas there could jump higher than the top of that cup. None of them, they just couldn't do it anymore. And what made it worse was, and this is kind of the reason why you should leave these types of situations, is what made it worse was even their offspring couldn't jump any higher than their parents could. Physically, they could do it. They could jump clean like maybe 2-3 times that height, right? But because of the limitation that was put on them, the oppression that was put on them, they couldn't only jump as high as they thought they could go. And I could see that playing a part in how the master of mistreatment conducted his family. So at the same time he's kicking her out, he's telling her all the reasons why she can't go and why it's not safe out there, why you're not going to ever be happy, why you should stay. And then after a while, you tell her that enough, you don't even have to tell her anymore because she'll tell herself that. Even while you're physically telling her she got to go. You're putting her out like Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince, tossing her out the front door. She's still trying to figure a way to get back in the house. So, and that's part of the wickedness of that type of relationship. But thank you so much, Ann. Tanya Carter. Next up, we got Ann. This is the last call, and I'm going to go through the super chats, and then that'll be that, guys. Thank you so much for hanging in there with me. I know I went way longer than I thought I should have planned to go, but I'm glad you guys are hanging out, and hopefully you're enjoying the show. So we have Ann next.
Hi, James. This is Ann. Watching this previous episode, the one thing that just raised my eyebrows is when Mary and Janelle were talking on Coyote Pass, and Janelle pretty much said that if she would push back at Cody when something wasn't right, he would push back at her, and she would just get frustrated and give in. But then Mary said if she would push back, Cody will push back on her, and then she will be scared to even voice control.
Oh, we just went through that one. Did I do Tanya? I think I missed one. Let me just check Tanya real quick.
Hi, James. It's Tanya Carter. I don't know if you're going to be doing a Thursday speak pipe, about Big G's. But I do want to say that the episode was rough. Just remembering, what happened to this poor young man, and it never should have happened. Of course, like everyone, have my feelings on the reactions from each one of the parents, two particularly. I couldn't help but notice the scenery was different for a particular two. That just led me to believe that they filmed afterwards and it was a little set up. But no judgment. I'm not going to judge anybody because the whole situation was sad anyway. I do kind of wish that instead of focusing on him unaliving himself, while I know that's a serious topic that needs to be discussed, I kind of wish that they had celebrated his life and maybe shown clips of who he was and what a wonderful, funny, intelligent young man that he was. I would have preferred to see that, and I think it would have honored him more to show what a great person he was. On another note, are you going to be reviewing Polyfamily? Because if you are, I am front row in here for it. That show is very interesting to me, and I already see where it ain't gonna work.
She got cut off. Tanya Carter. Yeah, I accidentally skipped over Tanya. So Ann had the question about the mistreatment. And Tanya, yes, I did review Polyfamily, and that's in the queue now. So if you want to review that, if you want to see it, it's there. I did it in a way where I did a recap, kind of a recap breakdown of some of the issues I saw in episode 1 and 2. So that's available now in my video thing. But with regard to Big G's and how they treated it, I think last week we watched the effects of the notification. This week, it's my understanding that we're going to watch like the memorial and well, maybe that's not a good thing because apparently they didn't like the memorial part of it. But we're going to watch like them talk about Big G, and hopefully they do give like kind of a montage. Maybe the last 4 episodes is actually that's what it's going to be about, dealing with the whole issue with Big G and his passing, and that's why they wanted to create like that month-long hiatus between the actual season to the secondary portion of the season. This might actually be something where it won't be available on as part of the season moving forward, like for the rewatches and things of that nature. This might be one of those things that we watch now and then later on it just kind of disappears. There's a few episodes in the past, and I say that based on this part of it. There's a few episodes in the past, including tell-alls, that are missing, that no longer, like, you have to go somewhere else to see them. I think it was one tell-all, the last tell-all that Tamron Hall did is missing. Like, you can't watch it on any of the platforms, whether it's Discovery Plus, HBO, or even TLC Prime. You can't watch it. You just can't watch it. It's not available. Some of those seasons were actually cut short too. So there's episodes missing. So I say all that to say this second portion of the show may all be about Big G and how they're dealing with it, like the notification to preparing for the services, the repass, and then how they deal with it after the repass, and then we roll into the tell-alls. I mean, that might be what they're doing. I don't know. But I do appreciate some of the way that they've been handling this particular topic so far, because, I didn't have a real high bar as far as TLC was concerned. I was a little concerned. I thought they might drop the ball. I thought it might be terrible. So I was like, this might be the end of the show. They might have just killed it. So I think they did a decent job. And as long as they maintain that position, I think that it'll be okay. But thank you so much for your call. And thanks to everybody who did call in. Let's go through some of the super chats, and then we're going to end the evening. All right. But thank you guys all so much for hanging out and giving your 2 cents. I saw where Sarah had responded. You're just a mannequin after death. Oh, wow. Sarah giving them hard answers. Can you when you die, is there hell? Can you leave hell and get to heaven? Nope. No chance. You got one shot to get it right. But you're like Eminem. You only got one chance to make it a star. Are you gonna make it, or you gonna fall flat on your face? Oh, okay. You're saying no, that's what it is. Okay. Okay. All right. Sarah dropping some knowledge. Information I'm not sure of. I don't want to cross the lines. Be like, this is what it is. 100%. I'd be wrong. Let's see. Oh, to the super chats. To the super chats, my friends. We have Steamed Frog 99. Steamed Frog 99. Must be a French dish. $5 super chat. Homewrecker treats the OG wives and their children as competition, and Daddy Dumbass, yeah, Double D, has zero conflict resolution skills since he's never needed them. And this is true. Like, I think that when you are in a situation where everybody is pining and begging and basically craving your attention and that positive feedback from you, it doesn't put any auspice on you to go out of your way to make other people feel comfortable. Everybody is there for your comfort, but you aren't there for anybody else's comfort or reconciliation. So I don't think that he has any reconciliation skills because he doesn't need them. That's a muscle that has never been worked out, so it atrophied. So even when he gets in arguments, if you listen to him, even when the Dastardly duo gets into an argument, he has trouble reconciling with the one person who always tries to see his side of things. So when they have disagreements, the same way Robert Barron, Crybrows is unforgiving and unrelenting and doesn't see the side of the OG3, you can see where she's taken that position into her personal relationship with the Curly Q cowboy. And she doesn't give him that, she doesn't give him the usual, I'm going to pretend like everything you do is right and everybody else is wrong. Because in that situation, when it's just the two of them, this is part of why I said the negativity thing doesn't really work for a couple when they build their relationship on negativity and toxicity, is because if he's always right and the other person is always wrong, if they're having an argument between the two of them, that would mean that she's wrong, and she's never wrong in her view. She's always the victim, or somebody's doing something to her, or she's saintly and right. So that's I think that's going to be part of the complication that they have. And I think she always saw the OG3 and their kids as competition because they were competition. They were in competition for time, attention, and resources. And so what do you do with competition? You crush the competition, and that's what she went about doing. And I think that part of the reason why she has such difficulty with it is because she did what she was supposed to do, which is crush the competition. So it's kind of where I'm at with it. But thank you so much, Steam Frog. Let me give you a little something. Get this get my things back up. All right. Next up we have Cindy Clapper, 499 Super Chat. Did anyone notice Cody and Garrison's picture from Military Memorial in his garage? Yeah, I did. I think that was from the memorial. And he sits there and looks at it. Doesn't have any other pictures around, but I think it was just something that he might have grabbed because it was up for grabs. It's almost like somebody. I'm gonna be an asshole about this, but it kind of felt like, especially based off of their relationship and the way from what we know about how he reached out to the other kids post Garrison's passing, it felt like somebody who attends a wedding. Like they're friends with maybe they know or associated with the bridal couple. They go to the wedding and they grab a centerpiece, right? And they walk out with the centerpiece and it's like, oh God, our centerpiece is amazing. So beautiful. And they get it home and there's nothing you can do with it. It just it doesn't have a place. It doesn't really fit in anywhere, but you just grabbed it because it was free. And in a way, and maybe this is just the cruel nature of it and me being an ass about it, but I just feel like that's what I felt like when I saw it in his garage. Like it was just something that, it was cool because a lot of people were paying attention to it. It was free and he could get it because he felt entitled to it. But now that he has it, what do you do with it? Like you don't even put it in a place of importance where you're actually looking at it. It's in your garage. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I have tools and stuff in my garage, but I don't have pictures of my family, my loved ones, people who aren't here anymore. I don't hang them in my garage. They're hanging around the house. You know what I mean? I can sit by a living room or something. You can look at the picture. I don't go out and work on my car or work on my bike and be looking at a picture. Oh, it's just weird. So, but thank you so much. Let me give you a little something. Steam Frog, Negla 3, $2 super chat. Lord Fauntleroy got back throw up for in case Robert leaves. Yeah. Rob, when she go, it's gonna be a battle royale because you have two people who together are a force to be reckoned with because they're selfish and they're looking out for themselves. And because they're looking out for themselves and the other person is in their best interest, they look out for the other person. So they're a force to be reckoned with. The two of them going at each other, this is like that Monster Mania stuff. You have King Kong and Godzilla battling it out in the middle of Tokyo. like stuff is going to get broke, okay? The town will never be the same, all right? Because these two, they're both selfish. They're both, ignorant as hell. They're both selfish. And so what's theirs is theirs, and they're trying to protect themselves. And both of them have like this sainted victimhood personality where everything that happens is making them a victim, and they're innocent participants, and this whole world is happening to them, and it's not their fault. So it's going to be, when they break up, it's going to be crazy. And from that respect, that might be their show. But big shout out to Negla 3. Shout out to Sarah M. $2 super chat. If you're sealed to anyone, You are an NPC servant. Oh wow. Oh wow. Okay. Yeah, and that makes sense. That makes sense. I've never heard it put that way. So shout out to you for for coining it as an NPC. But yeah, I can see that. I can see that because again, my understanding, and again, if I'm misquoting this or if I got it wrong, Sarah, please let me know. But from my understanding, when you are sealed, like say a wife is sealed to a husband, you're still subservient to that husband. It's not like you guys get sealed together, you're gonna go to heaven and you're gonna be on equal planes. No. Even as a wife, when you use you're sealed to them in the temple, you get the name or whatever, and you pass. You're supposed to say the secret name to them, and then they decide to let you into heaven. It's not a thing where you go there and be like, "Here's my receipt." One for heaven, please. Like that's not, you know what I mean? At least I understand that's not how it works. So even then, he's still Lord and Master in that heaven. Like he is, you know, the way they my understanding of the way that they practice it, the priesthood holder is God in heaven. In his heaven, he's God. So he is the like the Lord and Master of his manor. So you're actually asking to enter into his heaven. You're a visitor, or you're staying in his heaven. You're part of his heaven. So like the NPC thing. Oh, the NPC stands for non-playable character for people who may not know. Basically, in video games, it comes from a video game term where you would have a main character, a playable character, which is a main character that you play as in a video game, and an NPC character would be one of the characters that main character comes in contact with, you know, to offer him something or whatever the case may be, but you can't play him. Basically, that character's only purpose is to serve the main character in the main story. He does, aside from the main character and the main story, or even a side quest or whatever, they have no other purpose. So that's why they call them NPCs. That's the depth of where it is. So when you say that they're an NPC, even in heaven, your whole purpose is to serve your priesthood holder, your husband, or that person. It's not, you know, you don't have hopes and dreams and aspirations, which also goes into when Cody talked about you're being, oh, I said his name, when he talked about to Christine, you're being selfish. You're not thinking about the family. You're not supposed to consider yourself. You're a non-playable character. You're a servant to the family, and I am the family. So you're my servant. It's a polite way to say it without saying it. Or at least that's how I took it. And again, Sarah, you can correct me if I'm wrong or if I'm misinterpreting what you're saying. She's saying 100%, or at least that's what I'm taking. So I'll take it. Thank you so much, Sarah. Add a lot of context tonight. So yeah, it's nice to have people on the inside. Next up we have next up we have raspberry $10 super chat. If Cody's Raspberry did it the right way, I'm messing up. If Curly Q, the Curly Q cutie, sees his original families as a business transaction, example, I'm in the business of propagating children, then all he is doing is leaving 3 unpleasant jobs for a 4th job that that has material perks. Yeah, he figured he got promoted. But sometimes, and here's the crazy part, you might leave that good job, and this is always a concern. You might leave that good job where you have safety and security, and maybe you're not making the most money. Maybe it's not the most glamorous position, but that check is reliable. Okay. If you get paid, that money is in the bank, right? And you leave that opportunity for a short-term opportunity, which you might work on the weekends. And maybe it's high fly fancy. You get to go hang out with stars. You get on private jets. You get to go to big cities. You get to go on vacation with them. But when it's over, it's over. Okay. Because it was never built to last. And you were never supposed to retire out of that place. And you were never going to be there long term. You were never going to be a temp to perm. You were always going to be a temporary associate. And that very well may be, like, even along the terms of that analogy, Raspberry, that very well may be the case with him. He might consider himself like a permanent employee, but he might be a temp. Okay, because when it come time for them to really get down to doing what the job is actually about, he's not qualified. I mean, it's a shame that he did, because I think I do remember him saying he's in the business of having children and getting married, and business is good, because he had a bunch of children and a bunch of wives. But even as I know is clouded or cloaked in the charity of religion. But at the end of the day, a deadbeat daddy is a deadbeat daddy. You just went out and made a bunch of kids that you couldn't take care of, like with a bunch of women that you had no intention of being with. That doesn't make you a superhero. That makes you a jackass. No, I don't feel sorry for you. I don't feel bad for you. I feel no more pity for Cody than I would if Cody was just a dude I knew who was hanging out, running around, knocking up women and pushing kids up in them and not having to do anything to do with the kids or the women after he made them pregnant. I wouldn't respect that dude either. So no, just because you stake it into religious dogma, it doesn't become better for me. Like, if you are going to stake it in religious dogma and you were doing what you needed to do for your kids, then I can respect that. But I can't respect it if you're going out shooting up the club and you just making a bunch of babies that you ain't trying to take care of. It's hard to respect that. I don't care why you're doing it. Motivation doesn't matter if I'm looking at the end result of what it is you're actually doing. You understand what I mean? Like, best intentions. The road to hell is paved with good intentions. I'm gonna have all these families. It's gonna be amazing. All these kids, it's gonna be amazing. We all gonna be in heaven together. It's gonna be great. I'm gonna be holier than holy. And then you make a bunch of kids, and then, like, around year 15 or 20, when some of the kids are still little, you talking about, yeah, I don't want to do this no more. What? What? Then you lose all the credibility that you gained from saying that you did it for a religious purpose or cause, because your religious duties are not over, especially if you have to take it into the next world after death. That means that you're supposed to do it your whole life, not stop halfway through. Well, I'm going to live the rest of my life for myself and I'll just catch you after I'm gone. Like, that's not a thing. So I don't know. Maybe I'm being too hard on it, but I don't think so. I don't think so. Crystal Moon said a religious pimp. Yeah, right. It's hard out here on a pimp when your money's out here getting spent. I should make that song. But next, let me give Raspberry a little something. Raspberry. I might have to come up with some more of those. Next up, we have Classless $4.99 super chat. Classless, that's awesome. You like school on Saturday, no class. Thank you for hanging out longer tonight. I appreciate you all. Oh, all right, awesome. Well, thank you for hanging out with us. Appreciate you. Because without you guys hanging out with me, I'd just be sitting here talking to myself, and that would be sad. Let me give you something, class. That's awesome. Classless. Yeah, that's cool. Cool beans. But yeah, I appreciate everybody calling in tonight. Thank you guys so much. Everybody who contributed, everybody who kicked in with the super chats. We had let me just run through real quick. We had Alexandra PF join in, membership member for 2 months. Okay. The Gruesome Twosome, Neglet 3, new member. Welcome. F Summers, 99 super chat. Neglet 3 once again. Raspberry gave a couple times tonight. Thank you so much. Lizzie B with the gifted 1 membership of My Take Reality. Hopefully you guys enjoy that. Make sure you check out the Monday Morning Motivations. Again, the motivational videos are under the members tab in the playlist. They're available for everybody to watch. The only time that they're not openly available for folks is on Mondays when they originally get dropped for the members. But after, I think, Wednesday, I release them to everybody. So thank you very much for that. Negla 3, Crystal Manning in the house. Thank you so much. Sarah M contributed heavy tonight with the call in as well as the super chat. We had Raiders Ma in the house. You usually see her over at IQ Spot. I see a couple people at IQ Spot, even Negla and some other folks. Sarah M once again contributed heavy tonight. Kathy Mosley, Cindy Clapper, Brittany Not Brittany with the call-in and the super chat. Hello. Steve Frog 99. And did I say Raspberry? Once again, Raspberry, in case I didn't hit you, Raspberry. And Classless, thank you guys so much for kicking in, as well as everybody who called in and left a message, and all the people in the chat box. I appreciate you all. You're the ones that made the show tonight. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Make sure you check out the videos. I released the video about why I wasn't talking about the two that shan't be named this week. That was released earlier. I'm going to release a video tomorrow talking about Christine as well as David's relationship, and something that kind of touched me in this last episode that I wanted to talk about. I have that coming out tomorrow. Earlier today, I released a video talking about polyfamily, so check that out. I think it turned out to be a pretty decent video. So hopefully you guys like it. It's a new show that's on TLC that's talking about basically two couples that join together, so they have a quad poly family or plural family. Kids involved. It's a mess. It's a hot ass mess. But hopefully you guys check that out, and we will keep things moving forward. And I also have the Monday morning motivation. But thank you guys, everybody, for kicking in. And I want to give a huge shout out to Lizzie B, who's been holding me down. Back up in the chat. What's going on? As well as Brittany Not Brittany. I didn't see Carmel Cuties tonight, but hopefully she's well. But I'm going to give her a huge shout out as well. But thank you guys so much. This is for everybody who kicked in, as well as for the Mega Mods. So I want to thank everybody for joining in tonight. Thanks for hanging out. I know it's been it's a long one, 3.5 hours. I know that's a little long, especially on a weeknight, but I appreciate you guys hanging in there with me. Thank you so much. That's my take. I'm James. This has been my take on reality, and I'm out. See you on Sunday, by the way. So we will be back on Sunday, and we'll have the after show party this Sunday. So make sure you check that out as well. All right, guys. I'm out.
'Cause I've been living life right like I could just die any minute. Go for a ride down the side, keys, yeah.